Why, hello, welcome back, everybody, to Doodle Crew Season 2, Episode 2! Woo woo!
Woo!
Woo! Pew, 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 pew. I don't ever want to get a soundboard that has that effect just so that I can always make it
So
by
you can
myself.
always...
Yep, I can always
Temptation would be too much.
It would be. So yeah, we are excited, happy to be back, and I'm not gonna lie, I am much like Kruggles in chat, I am really excited about today's prompt. Y'all, it's October, we're doing witches, and we're not doing any witches. We are doing 90s witches. So that was the that was the prompt that went out into the Doodle Crew chat, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited already with the ideas that have popped up. We've got some charmed ladies, we've got some buffy ladies. It's gonna be a good time. And I will say I take personal inspiration from Randall, because he said that if we're doing 90s witches, then I had to do like loud neon windbreaker witches. So y'all, I'm gonna draw some windbreaker fanny pack witches. Windbreaker witches. I'm very excited. So yeah, let's go around. Let's intro everybody and let the audience know which witch you're gonna be doing. This is fun to say. I'm just gonna have fun with this. All right. So starting with you, Randall.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Randall. You can already see from my screen that I've got pulled up that today I'm going to be doing Charmed, because why not? Iconic. So I was, trying to figure out exactly what to do with Charmed, and I came across this image today, and I sent it to everybody, and was like, this is 100% like ideal 90s. We got the zigzag part, we've got hair extensions, glitter in the hair, crushed velvet, empire waist tops with the little baby doll sleeves. Like, it's all there. So
the baby doll sleeves,
that's what I'm doing today. Also, you get to see me cheat, as I was saying before, since I'm doing all three of them, and I'm really bad at drawing on the fly. I'm kind of tracing over it a little bit, but like with my own flair, and fixing things that I don't like.
I think that is utilizing a reference, and you're not being shady about it. You're literally telling us that you're using this specific picture, so I think we're good. Yeah, let me. Oh, I gotta do the thing. Yeah, yeah. See, gotta make Mayor Squish proud. All right, so jumping over to Kristen. Hi, welcome. Which one are you doing?
So I'm doing iconic 90s witch Willow Rosenberg from Buffy. Just like Charmed, an iconic series that had very specific fashion, and then Willow herself had super identifiable fashion that changed throughout the series. But I am doing the one super pink fuzzy puffy shirt that with the daisies on it that she had in one of her more famous episodes, which is when she encounters Dark Vampire Willow from Alternate Reality. So I specifically wanted to do this shirt because apparently it's also, by the fandom, one of her most iconic. Like, I'll share this with you. Apparently there's like action figures of her, and she's in this shirt.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wait, I just found another one. There we go. It's a little small. There you go. Like,
oh, but look at her. I love it.
Anytime someone cosplays Willow, it's always in this outfit. Like, I can't get over how much the fandom has just embraced this puffy shirt daisy outfit. It's very 90s looking because it has smiley faces and peace signs and flowers all over the place.
So 90s.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that, and then also just because she is like one of the better portrayals of 90s witch. She's just such a fun character. So
that's awesome.
Not the same iconic fashion that Randall's Charmed has. That's much more. This is definitely going in the other direction.
They're all valid.
They're all valid.
There were a lot of fashions happening in the 90s, so yes.
Very noticeable iconic fashions.
Oh goodness, yes. For better or for worse, they are memorable. All right, so Joey, what are you thinking?
Well, when you said 90s witch, being a 90s kid, one thing came to mind for me, and that was Sabrina Explains It All. So I'm gonna do a Sabrina. I'm gonna animate it up a little bit and see what I come up with.
That's gonna be fun. I'm very excited to see her in your style. Also, because you were not able to be a part of our Sabrina Witch episode, so
I
now
know.
we get to
Sad.
see your take on that. No, it's good. We get
Yeah.
you now. I'm excited. Awesome. And Sarah, what do you have in store for us today?
Well, I knew Randall and Kristen would probably do either Buffy or Charmed, and I was like, I don't want to steal those girls. And I was like, I need to think of a witch no one's gonna think of. So share my screen. And I'm gonna do your friend and mine, Rita Repulsa.
Yes! Rita was my backup!
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
And
Oh,
you
that's so fun.
a couple henchmen behind her because
Absolutely.
she's only
Oh, I
as
love
strong
it.
as her monsters.
Tell you what, though, like, I know she was the bad guy, and you're not supposed to be rooting for her, but her style, early Power Rangers, I was here for it. I was like, that headdress, the bling, like,
I didn't realize as a kid that she has cone like Madonna.
Yeah,
She's straight
yeah.
up Madonna cones.
Yeah,
It was actually the first thing I noticed about her, like, oh, she's gonna poke someone's eye out.
But I like, again, in true 90s fashion, like, as a kid, like, saw it, understood it, literally didn't give it another thought because this is her costume and that's just what she, like, it never crossed my mind to be anything other than just like, yeah, that's what she wears. Why wouldn't she wear it? So, I will say, the cone brow was never one 90s fashion that I adopted. But maybe now that the 90s are back, that's the one.
Bring it back, yeah.
That's the fashion I'm gonna lean into. Yeah,
Oh,
I like it.
boy.
Oh, I am so excited. Yeah, since we started putting together this episode and talking about it, I think this has been one that everybody has just been really, really stoked on. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Bring in. So for mine, I'll say I was trolling around Pinterest and found old, amazing like Delia's catalogs because I wanted to find some fun 90s poses, and boy, those catalogs had a wealth of choices. Choices were made on fashion and posing, and yep. Aw, thank you, Mary Squish. All right, now I see a bunch of things happening in chat. Let me go back and okay, this is credit. Oh, awesome! So we have a friend. Oh, I'm frozen. Oh no. There we go. Now I'm back. A friend in chat who is driving to the Renaissance Fair, but they're still listening to us. So yay! Yeah! Or I'm sorry, Renaissance Festival to be appropriate. The Maryland Renaissance Festival. So awesome.
Oh, the Maryland! I was just there last weekend.
Oh, awesome! That's really cool.
It was my first time. That is a really fun fair. So have a great time. Person who's
Yay!
going to the fair. I love that fair.
Also, I like Dell in chat has a suggestion. She wants to see the Spice Witches, Spice Girls witch crossover. I wish I would have let you know this earlier because I would have totally stolen that, Dell, and maybe I will at some point. So,
That would be fun. With the
right?
iconic 90s, yeah.
Okay.
Little surprised there's no Sanderson sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would have been my go-to, except I was really obsessed with Windbreaker Witch. I'm not gonna lie, it's been in my brain. Oh, and yes, also the craft. Now I'm going to admit something to
Fruza
all
Balk.
of you. Like, and I do this because I feel safe with you all, but I have genuinely never seen the craft.
Oh.
I know.
It's all right. It's all
I
right.
feel like I need to. Like, I now I'm too afraid to go back because I feel like I'm so out of the loop that.
Well, the sad thing is, like, I actually just rewatched it last week on HBO Max, and then I was looking through their catalog of stuff this week. They've already taken it off.
Oh.
Like, and I was watching through all the Scream movies again, and so I watched like the first two because those are the good ones. And then I was like, you know what though? It's been a long time since I watched Scream 3. Maybe I should just keep going with it. And yeah, all those are gone now too, because I guess they want people to spend the monies and get desperate at Halloween time.
So
to
they'll
watch
go
all
buy
the Halloween
Chiller.
movies.
That's too bad.
I'm sure they'll be back up on the service at some point for free though.
Yeah. I'm also not too particular. Like, I'll be okay if I if I don't watch it around the holidays, around Halloween. Yes.
Spooky
Also,
time.
Dell, you are completely correct. Emily does not like scary stuff, so it should be a
Oh,
shock to no
yeah.
one that Emily did not watch The Craft. I've also not seen The Boys. No, is it The Boys? That's the show. What's the one with Kiefer Sutherland as a vampire?
Lost
Lost
Boys.
Boys.
Lost Boys. I was close. See, again, haven't watched that one either. Although I have watched the sexy saxophone man scene, so I feel like I have that part of the cultural zeitgeist covered.
That's not really a scary movie, even though it's like a horror movie. I think you could get away with watching that one alone in the dark. It's mostly sexy in
Okay.
parts than funny than scary.
Yeah, it's got it was those that vibe at that time for those kind of movies, because the other one is like that too. Fright Night is really along those same lines, where it's, I remember seeing the posters as a kid in the video stores and being like, oh, I don't want to touch this, and now watching it as an adult, I'm like, oh, this was a comedy.
They just were not sure what their branding was. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so maybe I'll have to figure out how to add these to my repertoire and catch up on them. Yeah, I was actually talking to our mutual friend Andre, because he's a big spooky movie person and he's going through tons and tons of movies in October. And I was talking about how much respect I had for the first Scream. I was like, yeah, it's a really good movie, blah, blah, blah. And he's sitting there, he's like, wait, you watched Scream? I was like, yeah, I watched that one. He's like, and that one didn't scare you? I'm like, I don't remember being that scared. He's like, okay. I'm like, but it was also like really classic, like well done filmmaking. So maybe just my appreciation for it eliminated the fear that I had. I don't know. I don't have answers for you. I just remember that I have positive associations with Scream.
Well, it's Matthew Lillard, you know, just in there
Mm-hmm.
devouring every scene that he's in.
I love him so much.
Oh, that was
him
going to be my exact words.
Him and Hackers, a serial killer, made me so happy. And I rewatched his amazing dance sequence in She's All That, which is just chef's kiss. It's perfection.
And now he's all voice acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which really upset me when I watched the monstrosity that was Scoob, and he did not voice Shaggy. And I'm like, but why would you not do that?
He's literally done this before. He's done the research.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity.
I feel like too he's got such a unique voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Matthew Lillard. Yeah, so I'm trying to think. Yeah, we've got Sanderson Sisters. We've got Practical Magic was another one I saw pop up in chat. So The Craft. A lot of like really great witch content coming out of the 90s and the early aughts. Just
Oh, yeah.
I had Blair Witch on my list
ooh.
that I was thinking about doing. But then I was like, you know, there's no actual witch in the movie. It's just Mike and Josh gaslighting Heather and then killing her at the end.
Spoilers, Joey. Jeez.
Hey, I'm spoiling a movie from 20 years ago.
I was gonna say longer, but yeah, from a really long time ago.
If you haven't seen Blair Witch, there might actually be a witch. It's, you know, up to interpretation.
Yeah, no. I can tell you, I have zero interest in remedying that one. Nope. Not on my list. Not here for it. Don't need it in my life.
For me, the one that like just barely misses the mark because it's not technically a 90s witch, although I did watch it in the 90s, was Teen Witch.
Ooh.
That would have been a fun one because she has so many like memorable outfits in that movie.
Gosh, I haven't thought about that in forever.
always one of those movies that I want to watch around Halloween. Last time I watched it was last year, around Halloween.
I really thought about doing The Witches. And then I had to check. I was like, that might be an 80s movie. It is 1990, so it would have
Oh, you
Just got
cleared.
in.
Just cleared it. Nice.
I thought oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I thought of one that I think also does the same thing as The Witches, where I couldn't quite remember if it was late 70s, 80s, or 90s. And it's a British one. It's The Worst Witch, but it has Tim Curry in it, who sings a hilarious song towards the end of it. And I only knew about The Worst Witch because of Latchkey, and it was like one of the few VHS tapes that they had. So we watched The Worst Witch a lot, but then I've tried to tell other people about it, and they're like, that sounds ridiculous. I've never heard of that movie. And then I've watched it again recently, and I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't that good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why. That's why no one else has watched it. That's understandable.
Yeah, that one I've never heard of, but it's but again, it's another one of those where shocking to no one, like Tim Curry is everywhere and doing all the things. And I was like, how did I miss so much Tim Curry content growing up?
Yeah.
Even though the movie itself is ridiculous, the whole, like I said, end scene is just a music video of Tim Curry singing, and he sings like a very Halloween-esque song, wearing a big sparkly cape, and it's ridiculous, and it's not good, but it's very iconic. And that, even just this song, I'm surprised never really got caught in the Halloween, I don't know, like you said, like zeitgeist.
Yeah, like there's a whole like Halloween playlist, like the Come Little Children, and I Put a Spell on You, and like that, like they've been covered by a lot of people. They've been brought back and reimagined, and yeah, it's shocking to me that one hasn't seen the same revival or resurgence.
If you watch the music video, you'll understand why, though. But still, it's embarrassing. But yeah, it's about a little girl who's it's very like, it's pre-Harry Potter, obviously, but it has that like, a bunch of children sent to like a British boarding school and they learn how to be witches and magic, and very, very much like the precursor to that sort of trope. But she's the worst at it. Like, she literally she's not good. It's both her attitude, it's her attention span, it's her physical skills. Like, she's just not, and then also they all get this little black cat because, all witches have a black cat. And she gets a little, like, striped gray tabby cat. And she's the only one that doesn't get a black one. So she names it Blackie.
Oh. we all just have a moment. We're like, oh boy.
Get
it.
It's British. It's just, okay, we'll let that one slide. But yeah. And then a little girl asks, like, why'd you name it Blackie? And she's like, because he's not.
Oh, gosh. That's really funny.
Yep. So anyway, Worst Witch. If you don't know, now you know.
Now we know. I like it. Oh my gosh, that's really funny. Also, we've got yes, and Sarah, I want to come back around to it. We've got somebody who is celebrating Angelica Houston from The Witches, also just stunning, amazing, and some love to Halloween Town with Debbie Reynolds.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought about that too. I was never big on Halloween Town. Like, I watched it, but it wasn't.
It never landed with me. Like, I was kind of aware with it, but I have, again, in our like age bracket, I have people who really, really like that was their jam. So
I feel like it was like just a little younger for us.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, I think it was just after our time. We kind of stopped watching the Disney Channel original movies. Well, some of us. I mean, some of those are still really good. Doesn't matter what age you are.
I will die on the motocrossed hill, so I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
I love that
year.
stupid movie so much. Oh, Mayor Squish says, I made Paul watch the first Halloween Town, and he refuses to watch the others now. Oh boy.
Good job, Paul.
Uh...
Hold your ground.
Oh, that's really funny. Also, I'm trying to give this lovely girl like some fun shapes and stuff like that. You know what doesn't have shape? 90's windbreakers. There's no shape. There
Yeah, I
is
mean,
just
they
material.
are windbreaker shaped.
They're windbreaker shaped.
Just take the anime approach, and even if it's a form-fitting suit jacket, you can still see the boobs.
Oh, naturally. Can't forget those. I
Just
need the
wraps
audience
around
to
them.
remember that she's got boobs. They'll
Yeah.
forget if not. Because if you can't see it, it fails to exist.
Yes.
That foot is yuck.
I mean, it's there influencing the shape. You just have to figure out how.
Use your imagination.
Or don't figure it out and just draw them.
Yeah.
Take the artist approach to it.
Don't give away our secrets.
That is a struggle, though. Like, every time I draw something, I'm like, but I work so hard to draw the understructure for it. I want them to see that.
You don't see any of it? Really? Not a thing? Aw. That's a bummer. Alright, so maybe we just go back to this original leg. I was going to try and be clever and change it, but I think that was the wrong decision, so... Oh, 90s witches. Also, like, I remember within the last couple of years going back and rewatching not Hocus Pocus, but Practical Magic, and like, not that it is quote unquote scary, but there's definitely like some intense scenes in that like I think my parents must have fast forwarded through when we were watching it when I was younger, because I was like, this is kind of like heavy when they bring him back and he like there's some intensity to it. I was like, I don't remember any of this, but alright.
What do you mean? Old Yeller goes to live on a different farm.
Exactly. Exactly. It was also the first time I learned that my mom has a big time crush on the lovely gentleman who plays the male lead in that, whose name I cannot remember, but I was like, "Aw, Mom, that was adorable."
My mom forgets who my celebrity crushes are, or she assumes that if I like someone, I must also have a crush on them. So she's like, I saw an interview with your celebrity crush the other day, and I'm like, oh, what was it? Because I'm really into Chris Hardwick. I'm like, he was just on a thing. Did she see that? And she sends me the link, and it's Alton Brown, and I don't know, like.
Close, Mom. Close.
They're not the same human.
Points for trying.
I do like Alton Brown.
It's true.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh, apparently the Olsen twins did a witch movie in the 90s.
I forgot about that. They
Yeah.
did a couple, I think, actually. I think there was an original and then a sequel, and God, was I really into them. Wow, I forgot that. Embarrassment.
Don't be embarrassed. We all watch the Olsen twins.
I was gonna say, I ate up their content like crazy. I'm like, give me more. What? The one where they put a billboard to get their dad a date? Yep. Give me the It Takes Two where they're just doing switchy places stuff. I'm here for all of it. Give it. I want more. Give me more. So yeah, no shame.
I remember really liking it. I can't remember the plot now, but I remember getting super into it. And they had these, like, either there was like a wand that they were looking for, or that they had a special wand and they were playing keep away with the villains. It was something about that.
I think so.
It sounds familiar.
It also sounds like a completely plausible 90s movie plot. Like, I was like, yeah, no, all of this makes sense.
I don't know why, but I remember being ridiculous looking for a wand too. Like, it had like purple stripes on it, like like one of those barbershop poles sort of thing.
You need to know it's magical. We have to represent it in visuals that it's magical.
Yeah, I remember just looking.
That's
really
just a
silly.
stick. How are the kids gonna know it does magic?
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like there was not a lot of subtlety or nuance to some of the 90s movies. They're like, no, we need to make sure that they understand. And the kids are like, yeah, we got it. We understood. Funny. Too funny. Oh, apparently Cloris Leachman was in it.
Oh, wow.
Again. All right,
No, I
Del,
remember
while
that.
you're While you're doing you gotta tell us the name of it. No, because make you do the research.
Because I was actually just talking this past week about the Full House craze of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just the Olsen twins, but, like, it was such a cultural thing. I remember I had, like, some sort of a book that I got through the Scholastic book fair or something that it was, like, behind the scenes, but as if it was, like, actually the Tanner family and not just, like, the actors.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Scholastic book fairs were the gosh darn jam. Like, oh, that shit was tight. You're just like, yes, more, please. Oh, apparently, it was called Double Toil and Trouble. And now that you said that, I feel like I'm having recovered memories. I'm like, I think I remember this. I think I watched this.
Oh yeah,
I watched it. Randall, was it you that sent the adult Scholastic book fair where it's just a book fair and you get really drunk?
uh-huh. Yep.
Oh,
Like
that
if
sounds
it's a
amazing.
bar, but it's the Scholastic book fair, 100%. I was like, if you gave me that option, like I would walk over and grab myself an origami book and pull out the fanciest ass paper I can find and just like drink a martini and make origami.
I mean, that sounds ideal. Let's be real. I would do that now.
Right?
Please.
I'd probably like read something very much for younger, like Boxcar Children, and like get through it in like an hour, because those books you take like maybe a day or so as a kid, and now you can read them so quickly. But
It's funny, in picking up those books, like obviously there's a large age gap between my sister and I, but as I was like rereading them or reading them to her, I was like, wow, these read really fast. But I don't ever remember, like as a kid, I remember just being so invested in what was going on that I would just tear through it. But I don't think, like looking back as an adult, I was like, oh, they're actually not that long. Like they're not big books by any stretch.
you can get through them pretty quick. Not that I have read some old books, like a box of Animorphs that were in my basement, and
Yo,
I was going to try to
Animorphs.
decide if I should save them, and then I started reading them, and then all of a sudden I'm like a whole series chapter book in deep.
So, Kristen, I will tell you specifically, because Animorphs was a little bit, I missed that one for some reason. Like, that one just didn't land for me. But my sister loved it, and she has spent probably the last 10 years through all these used book sales and stuff like that, going through, she has tracked down, I think she owns everything that was ever published related to the Animorphs, like, and she's also gone through and, like, gotten different copies of it so she can kind of upgrade and get herself, like, essentially like the mint condition copies of all of them, and then, you know, periodically she'll go back and reread them. So I am full team Animorphs because, yeah, like, and some of them, they had really small print runs, like towards the end of it, like they weren't getting the big print run. She's like, yeah, this one I had to wait, like it was coming from here, and then all of this, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's adorable, I love it.
So I found out recently, because again, found my old Animorph books, and there was a couple YouTube videos that did an explanation for that, and they're actually like, yeah, the publicist, I almost said publication, the publicist did that intentionally. They treated the Animorphs as if they were episodes to a TV show, and they released like one a month. And then you had the series finale, which was once a year, which was either the Megamorphs, Alter Animorphs, or the Chronicle books. Like, they were very much one of the first young adult book series, like series to release as almost a television or movie series. And they kind of became the standard, because even other ones like Goosebumps didn't do it that way. It was kind of like as the author wanted, but Kay Applegate, the author, she was like all on board for this. She's like, yeah, no, let's do this sort of like serialized, very specific monthly publication, which did result in a lot of the books being ghostwritten. So Applegate wrote like structure, and then she had a lot of ghostwriters because they had to make this like once a month deadline. But yeah, I remember going into the bookstore every single like almost week and like waiting and hoping there was another Animorph books. And then she wrote other series too at the same time, and I like devoured those.
Yeah, Karen says, again, I wish she was here because she could absolutely speak to this more than I can. But she's picked up some of the other ones, and I think she said she really liked them. So whatever else K.A. Applegate was doing was I think she's very talented, and she was doing cool stuff.
She did Everworld, which was a really cool concept, but that one was mostly ghostwritten. I'm not saying ghostwriting is wrong. It's just like whenever people mention these books, they also mention that like it was her structure, not her writing. She did the Relevant or Remnant, which was like a super sci-fi one. She's done a couple others. One of the, I'm going to totally go off on a topic here. Ivan the Incredible is a Disney movie that is based off of a book that she wrote. Very funnily enough, the movie never mentions her. Like, I think she's maybe mentioned in the credits, but it's her book, and Disney made, you know, her book into a movie about this gorilla in the circus, and there's not a lot of advertisement for her. Like,
Forgot
it's
to
not
tell her.
based on the story written by K.A. Applegate. But for those interested, because again, I very much just love K.A. Applegate as an author. She has released all of the Animorph books for free online on the Animorph website, which that's still a thing.
Oh, wow.
And she is like very much encouraging of young authors, young writers, yet young people should have access to reading material. So every single book that's even related to Animorphs is completely for free by her out there. And she even engages in the community still, because there's still like an Animorph community. Who knew?
Yeah.
So
No, I love that.
Just finding my books in the basement like made me look up all this stuff. I was like,
well,
oh,
and
wow.
it's encouraging, and you know, kind of off of a comment made in chat that Dell was saying, like, it's very nice to have that as someone, you know, something that you enjoyed growing up. And she's referencing Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling, obviously, but it's nice to see an author be genuine, be honest, and be a positive member in the community and a positive force going forward. Like that's encouraging. So I'm very happy about that.
She is very positive in the community. In quite a lot of communities, actually. She does a lot of charity work with her writing and stuff. So anyway, I will stop.
No, that's awesome. Again, if my sister isn't actively watching right now, I will definitely make a point to like show her the VOD to be like, hey, look, more Animorph love. I like it. It also it ended up having a short run TV show that had one of the Ashmore twins in it.
It had Shawn Ashmore, and that series was why I had such a massive crush on Shawn Ashmore. When we're talking about our parents, like our mom and our celebrity crush, mine was Shawn Ashmore, hardcore, and it was because of that. And then it was very short run. It was not great. I still have all of it on VHS.
It's not great. Though. Yeah. She also, my sister has it on VHS, yep. And like we watched it. I'm like, it's not great, but they were trying.
They were. I mean, you could tell Nickelodeon had like a massively small budget for what is supposed to be a huge, like scope of a story.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is God, I keep doing this. Every time someone mentions a comment, I'll just be like, oh, I happen to know like the entire history of said. I will stop it here. There is a comic, a officially released illustrated comic telling the entire story of the Animorphs. So if you don't want to read it, you can, comic view it. It's either just releasing soon. I know that they've released at least test images of the first volume. The art looks pretty good for what for the story, and then obviously it is being very, very faithful to the story. And I think it's planned to do the entire Animorph story. And there is teaser talk of a movie. There was a license given. I don't think it's gone into like casting or even who's producing it, but I do know that there's constant buzz of a Animorphs live action movie.
But I feel like comics is such a great avenue for that because you've got such fun visual stuff that you could play off of. So yeah, hopefully here's hoping they keep with that because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I am all for. I know people complain, but I actually don't mind them going back into the 90s and taking some of our old childhood material and revamping it, especially in different mediums.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
It can be done incorrectly, but I'm not mad at the attempts.
Plus, I feel like with something like that, if you approach it with kind of, I don't want to say the reverence, because that's a little like, oh, we can't touch it because it was amazing. I was like, no, if you approach it as a fan, the reference or the example I always give is Galaxy Quest as a movie. Like, it's a parody of Star Trek and the bonkers stuff that would happen in Star Trek, but at its core, it is a love letter. Like, the people who made Galaxy Quest clearly were so influenced by Star Trek and had such a love for it that they can make this amazing movie, being critical of the silliness of it, but still, it's a fun movie, and it's got heartbreak, it's got happiness, like it is a love letter to that thing.
It does have Alan Rickman.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. I repeat the computer.
Buzz
That's
Lightyear.
my job.
Okay.
Yes, coming in strong in chat by Grabthar's Hammer. Thank you, Soapbox Thoughts. I love it. Yeah, so, you know, if they're doing something like that where you're approaching it, like if you were a genuine, like, if you were genuinely enjoyed, wow, I can't talk. If you genuinely enjoyed the Animorphs, then as you're updating it and bringing it into something new, like, you're bringing that happiness and that passion with it. And I feel like that gets a much better product than someone just being like, hey, we should reboot this thing because it'll make us money.
Especially since it's not going to make a lot of money.
No.
Because, again, the author's sort of been like, here it is, it's public domain now, like, go for it. Okay. What?
I'm glad you mentioned that it was like serialized and produced monthly, so there was a quick turnaround. Because I recently was like, I'm doing a transformation panel in my comic. I should look at the covers for Animorphs, and I'm like, oh, this isn't as good as I remember. It's kind of really terrible, and I'm like, it makes sense. They had quick turnaround. They weren't going to have fully rendered covers. They were the animal, the person, and then they very poorly photoshopped them to morph into each other. But
also, again, we're working off of like Photoshop 2 at that point. But I'm with you. Like, I remember being amazed by them as a kid. I was like, wow, these are really good. Like, how would you ever do that?
They're not photoshopped. They are traditionally painted.
No way.
Nikes.
And you can actually buy prints from the artist who did it. He sells prints of every single Animorph cover on his website. He also does a lot of other art, but it's a traditional acrylic art.
Oh my gosh.
It's definitely Photoshop mock-ups. Like, obviously they went in there and they cut up the actor, the model or whomever, and the animal and everything. Like, there is definitely some photoshopping going on, but then it's like over-painted. Sorry,
That's
I
really
said I was going to be done.
I brought it back up. I did it to us.
I'm also here for all the fun facts because, again, I don't know this stuff, and I'm assuming people in chat might not either. So this is good. Also,
if you keep opening the fridge, we're gonna eat.
Yeah,
we're simple creatures. Laura Charles in chat said, "I thought they were painted." So yeah, you're getting kudos with the trivia. I like it.
Randall knows that I can't just watch something. Like, I have to absorb myself in every facet of that thing, whether it's the fandom or the random facts or the creation. I just can't leave it alone.
Question, artist.
Yes.
90s Sabrina. She just pointed at stuff to cast spells, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I remember. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think she ever used a wand or anything else.
No,
I was trying to
because
think.
her finger would get sick. That's why you remember it's her finger. And she just because her pointer finger would get sick.
Oh, as your pointer finger does.
I mean, as an artist, yeah, my whole hand gets sick.
Yeah, like my hand is constantly sick.
I
Like
mean-
if it rains, like I'm like I can't spellcast today.
Also, everyone in chat, that's how you know that we're 90s kids, because now when it rains, our bodies hurt.
Oh,
That's too
pour
real.
one out for the 90s kids.
We need to take our back meds.
What was it just the other day? It was like, oh, I know it's going to rain because I have sinus pressure in my knee.
Yup.
It's just...
It's pretty awesome. Oh gosh, I love it. I love it. Oh, apparently, Sonata Mag in chat says there was an Animorphs toy line that was a spin-off of Transformers in the early 90s.
Their
Interesting.
heads split and they turned into the animals. It was weird.
Remember that? Yeah.
Oh, that's so creepy.
It was super bad. Because also, they were all super buff to hide their little animal transformation. So you had, like, Rachel and Cassie, who were supposed to be 14-year-old girls, and they, like, have football shoulders.
Built like linebackers. You're like, I don't think that's real. That's not how they looked on the covers. Also, Dell in chat says, get more fiber. 10 years from now, you will thank. Well, thank you. I'm sorry, I misread that. But, yeah. More fiber.
How do cats do?
Your cat
They
is
are
very upset
liquid.
she can't be on my lap.
Oh, my goodness.
It's true. You can draw the most broken cat in the world, and you'd be like, no, like, a cat could do that, seriously.
Yeah.
I witnessed it.
I don't understand it, but I saw it happen, so it happened.
They don't have collarbones. That's how they can, like, squeeze into places. And
Really?
yeah.
Huh. That's weird. I mean,
Yeah,
cool.
you're weird.
That's cool.
Oh. Okay, but she might be weird, but she's being real cute right now. So.
It's those lack of collarbones. They increase cuteness.
Yeah, I think that's scientifically proven, actually. I remember reading a study.
Fun fact, cats also lack souls.
I feel like Joey, just off of your comment, because it cracks me up. I feel like it might have been Mulaney, because this feels like a Mulaney quote, where he's just like, I read a study, and he's like, let's be real, I read a tweet. And I think of that every time I say I read an article, and I was like, I should just say, like, I saw it on TikTok, or I read a tweet.
Yeah. Someone else read an article.
And
Maybe.
Oh, gosh. Oh, maybe. Oh, let's go baby doll dress. I think I'm leaning in. I think I'm leaning into baby doll dress.
I mean, anybody that remembers the Salem puppet from the 90s show knows that cats can do anything.
I
Yep.
love that. I love that puppet so goddamn much. His little, like, when he'd wave, like, he just says, ah. It was so good. So good.
Did a lot of, like, sobbing.
Oh, yeah.
He has a lot of feelings. Oh,
Excuse me.
Salem.
He's just like a shape.
This is the face of trouble. Right here. This right here. Chewing plastic. Making my audio levels go crazy.
Oh, like, why are you eating plastic? Oh, I love Laura Charles and Art says my cat is handsome and is an absolute monster. The other one is pretty and stupid. I have such a soft spot for dumb cats. I love them. I love them so much.
Hey,
Thank you. I had not saved yet.
Oh,
first time since starting.
I have also not saved. We are so good at this.
So unrelated to cats, but related to 90s, Kristen and I had talked about this yesterday. The thin eyebrows of the 90s.
Oh yeah.
And my friend texted me earlier today, and we were talking about it. And he's like, "Yeah, one of my friends to this day cannot regrow her eyebrows because she tweezed them so
Oh,
much that they're
no.
just permanently thin now."
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Uh huh.
I mean, I
Oh,
believe it though, because, I mean, we went at our eyebrows. Well,
yeah.
other people did. I was a coward and I never could.
I am right there with you. I was far too afraid to touch them, and also like I think I plucked one or two and it really hurt. I was like, I don't want to do that ever again.
The pain was why I chickened out. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna have caterpillars for eyebrows. That's fine.
I'm okay. Also, so I will totally fess up. I saw this on a TikTok, but it was a very funny thing where it was probably a millennial talking about the 90s coming back and everything, but in a very confrontational way. She's like, so do it. And then would like hold up her hand and have a picture of those eyebrows and be like, do it. Pluck them. You want to be 90s? Here's how you be 90s. And I was like, ooh, I'm here for this drama. I didn't know I was, but I am. That was God. I think I was looking back at like band promo images of No Doubt and Gwen Stefani, and they're just like a single line. It's
Yep.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
Man, remember No Doubt?
I did karaoke last night and someone sang a No Doubt song.
Oh.
I sang A Whole New World with my friend Jan, and we rocked it out, I think. I couldn't hear us, but everyone else said we were good, and we got fist bumps from random ladies we don't know. So
Excellent. I think that's definitely a win.
all the ladies in the bar sang. So
Aww.
And somewhere in the world, Disney gays also broke out at the very same time.
I sense it. It's happening.
Okay. Randall, you have inspired me with the zigzag hair to do some zigging and zagging up here on this head.
Oh, don't thank me. Thank Alyssa Milano.
I do every day.
I have a specific comb right over there that has the zigzag pattern in it, so you can just like part your hair instantly. Like I still have it. And I debated doing it for today, and then I'm like, no, this is going to be recorded and memorialized forever.
I still have my topsy tail. Literally just the plastic thing that was a circle that would do the, like, you can do it yourself. You don't need the tool. But I had it. I still have it.
What was it, topsy tail?
I
Yep.
bet
Yeah.
that's this at my parents' house.
Yeah, because our parents will throw away anything. Also, those so super bitey headbands, like the plastic ones that would come around and like would just dig into your skull and pull all your There's still
Those
some
were
of
the
those at my
worst.
parents' house. They were so hard to get on. Like you'd put them around your neck and then you have to like the teeth would bite your face all the way up and then trying to get them out of your hair. Joey, you don't understand. It was not fun. It was not fun. Oh God.
You know what was fun? Hammer pants.
Did you have hammer pants?
I had hammer pants.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
They did look really comfy. I'm not gonna lie.
I wish they'd come back.
I couldn't.
Wait,
like,
I'd be wearing hammer pants every day.
I
They
feel
do
like
it
they
red
came
fairs.
close. Oh, that's true. Yeah. I feel like the ones like I always call them like the dirty diaper pants, where it's just the really low crotch. Like that was as close as we got, but we didn't go full hammer pant. I'm like,
Right.
but why? We
Why
were so
not?
much. We were so close. Oh my goodness. Oh, also, Adele had said this earlier. Do you guys remember when RuPaul was on Sabrina?
I sure do.
It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
anymore, so it is fun. Oh, RuPaul. Am I going right there? I am. Yes.
And again, because Randall and I talked about it the other day, where I think it was either this morning or yesterday, Neither of the photos that we're referencing are the characters wearing those stretchy chokers, but we're both adding them to our characters because they're just so quintessentially 90s.
Yep.
And they're back. We talked about this, I think.
They
Yep.
are
Uh-huh.
They're back so hard. Like, so many of my students and the teenagers at the dance studio wear them, and I'm just like, what? I can't do it. It's so weird to me. Like, I don't understand what's happening.
My worlds are blending. No.
Also,
They crossed the streams.
I'm like, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. And I'm like, oh, it was. I'm like, no. I don't feel like we've had time to have it come back.
2004 was only 10 years ago. It's
Exactly.
fine.
Right.
Well, I also feel like the 80s styles came back, but they were only back for like this much time.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're moving to the 90s already. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't remind me.
Enough time to sell the merchandise and then they move on.
Yeah. Well, I did have a small moment, though, because I remember always wanting to get away with, like, the little, like, plaid skirt and little plaid jumpsuits that were very, very, like, very much Delia's and all of that. And that was never my style, and I could never pull it off. Like, even as those were coming back, I was just like, oh, that stings. That stings more than I was expecting it to. Like, okay, yep, still not cool. 30 years later, still not cool. Cool. Nice. That feels good.
The 90s are so bizarre because it was like a mixture of like streetwear and super slutty. Like,
Yes.
show as much skin as possible, or don't.
Or
the
literally
biggest,
put on
baggiest.
jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no in between. I feel like there was no like casual wear. It was either, tiny baby doll dress where you had to be careful if you bent over, or literally like gigantic windsuit. Yes, and grunge. And grunge.
Yeah.
With the,
Grunge.
yeah.
Dude, I had so many flannel shirts.
I have flannel now. It's such a good material.
It really is. Well, it always cracked me up growing up because I had a lot of flannel. No part of it was because it was cool. It was because I grew up on a farm and it's actually really warm. I'm like, this isn't fashion. This is function. I have this because I need it, because it's cold. I wish it were that cool, but I'm not. Yes, we got Jinko jeans coming back. I have so many vivid memories of being in middle school and searching for the baggiest pants with that big stripe down the side, because I had a khaki pair with a big old stripe, and I was like, gosh darn it, I'm cool. The answer, for those playing along at home, no, I was not. No, I was not cool.
Does that mean that everyone drinks? I know this is an afternoon Doodle Crew,
Yeah, everybody.
but it is Friday.
Well,
It
the
is
last
Friday.
time we streamed, I was joking and said that we have Doodle Crew bingo. Just like whenever a certain thing comes up, like, oh, childhood trauma, mark off that box.
Bingo.
Somebody mentions the Art Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cats interrupt the stream.
Oh gosh. The Art Institute came up again the other day, and I can't remember who I was talking to or what. I was just like, always. It's ever present.
I think it's the most times I have to explain my school doesn't exist anymore. Like, where did you go to school? And I'm like,
Well,
So funny story.
Art Institutes still exist, so it's not fully like people understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but our specific one, no.
It crashed and burned hard.
It really did.
But we survived, and we're stronger for it.
We are.
It's just that it died for such silly reasons too. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like it couldn't have even been a cool thing like, oh, the culinary kids finally had it and they just like
Burn the school down.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. If someone's
any of
gonna do it,
If any of the chat is culinary, I apologize. I'm just generalizing.
we love you and we understand you and we support you.
Right? Even on that decision, we would have supported you. But that's not what happened.
Nope. Yeah, I'm with you. I wish we would have had some crazy, I want to say origin story, but like death knell, like big finish finale thing. I was like, nope, just stupid politics and bullshit and mismanagement. Am I on the right layer?
That should be a take a drink.
So it's a command in chat. Let me see if I can do it. I'm not sure if Nicole's here. There, we have a count going, for my channel. That whenever we do that, yep, I've worked on the wrong layer 10 times since we started counting it. So, yep, that's a thing. Well, let's.
We should make a drinking game.
We should. We could do another drink and draw. We can make this happen.
What was it? I can't remember if it was with this group or a different one, but there was some sort of drawing challenge where it was draw an entire piece on one layer. Like you can't use any other layers.
Oh,
we talked about it. It came up in chat. I think we were seriously considering doing it, and then all of us were like, "We're not. We don't have to do that.
We don't have to do that one."
I mean, it's always an option if we want to.
Yeah, no, my butthole just tightened up as soon as you mentioned it. That is a no-no.
Every blue moon, someone mentions it. Like, well, yeah, there's.
Just get instantly stressed. I'm like, no.
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
Here's
Oh, God.
that should be the next drink and draw.
There you go. Yes, I'll do that if I'm drunk.
There actually was one year that I sat down and just like drew in Microsoft Paint with a mouse.
Nope.
That's really hard. I
have
like
a
can't
self-hate
Microsoft.
day. What was that for?
Yeah, I cannot draw with a mouse, and it infuriates me.
Oh, I can do the mouse. It's the tools are so simplified that I'm like, this isn't what I want you to do. Can you just be slightly better than this? And
Hashtag get good. Get good, MS Paint. Come on.
Instead of getting good, it died.
Yeah. Wait, is MS Paint officially gone? Is it not a thing anymore?
It's like something else now. It's like Microsoft 3D Painter or something.
Yeah, I have it on my computer. I pull it up now. It's called Paint 3D.
Okay.
Guess what it doesn't paint in?
3D?
Ding, ding, ding.
Hey, I'm good at this game.
Could you imagine, though, trying to drop in like a 3DS 3D model like into Microsoft Paint to do it?
Nope. Just you saying that there just made me short out a little bit. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
Program just burns your computer alive.
I smell fire. I smell fire.
Randall, I love how you're doing Prue's eyes.
Oh,
Just
yeah?
look really good right there. And I'm excited to see how you tackle that up flip hair.
Yeah.
That, like-
Did you see what I did with Phoebe's hair? The craziness?
Ooh. With her like weird spiky space buns.
Yeah. The like twisty, messy, curly.
Oh god, those thin eyebrows. They're so thin.
Oh, Emily, those are the colors.
Right? I'm feeling so good about these colors. Like, yeah, let's do it. Like, she's got darker pants on. I don't think I'm going darker pants. I think I'm leaning in. There might be purple. I feel like we need some neon purple happening. I'm not afraid. Well, and I think that was part of it. Like, when we were first talking about it, and Randall brought it up, I was like, we've joked on Doodle Crew before about how we often stray away from, really vibrant neon colors because they're hard to work with and they're hard to match. But I was like, oh, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it for the 90s. Which one? That's the one you got to do it for.
I mean, you could complete the trifecta there since you're kind of using red and blue. You might as well go with highlighter yellow.
Yeah.
Throw that in there.
It's true. That might. Oh, you know what? We might
A
go
nice chartreuse pant, Emily.
Yeah. It's good.
That was the perfect noise for that color combination.
All right. Let's get that. Where are you? Go into it. It's yellow, but it's got just enough green in it to. Oh, baby. So bad. So bad.
And we would wear those on our person.
Are pictures of me in outfits like these. There's proof.
Earn it.
I think I was telling this story recently because mom jeans are coming back.
Yep.
And this was probably 12 years ago now. I was helping my mom clean out our attic, and there was just a box of jeans that were like every pair of jeans that had gone out of style in the past 30 years were just in this giant box in my parents' attic. So I was like, well, I should try them all on and make sure like the zippers work before we donate them.
Yep.
Because these styles are coming back. This is eventually going to be a good donation. And most of them were like baggy, now I can't talk. Baggy 90s jeans or Jinkos. But I found a pair of mom jeans where the zipper was like over a foot long.
No.
And
Oh,
I put them on, and it was like that skit from Saturday Night Live. And somewhere there's a picture of me wearing these mom jeans where the zippers, it was so long. It came up and like hugged right under my boobs. And I'm like, this isn't real. No one really wore these pants.
Is this real life?
I was just gonna say, I was like, is this real life? Laura Charles, you are exactly right. Bodysuits are back, which I'm gonna tell you, this is my personal gripe. Because as a dancer, I've had to wear leotards forever. And the difference between a leotard and a bodysuit, I have beef with bodysuits. Also, who thought it was a good idea to put snaps in the crotch of an item? Who thought that was good? Aside from babies. What?
Oh,
It's
May
fine
I-
for baby.
as someone who doesn't know anything about dance, can I ask you to elaborate? What is the difference between a bodysuit and a leotard? I genuinely don't know. I'm asking because I
No,
don't.
You're good. So a lot of times, the dance leotards were meant to have a little bit of like form and shape to them. They're also made not with full like swimsuit material, but much closer to that. So it's got like lycra and it's got spandex in it, so it has more stretch and give. But it is form fitting and it has movement to it. But it also sometimes even some of them have the built-in bras or the support and stuff like that. And I can't speak to the current bodysuits because I've not tried any of them. But a lot of them are made out of just a very cottony material. They don't have any structure to them, and also like there was this weird, like they didn't fit right. Like everybody I knew who wore them had issues with the fit, and I was like, how can they literally make leotards for all shapes and sizes, and yet nobody can get the bodysuit thing right? Like you end up with like saggy stuff in the crotch or the butt, or it's too tight, and then it's pulling in the directions you don't want it to pull, and So I'm hoping. My hope is that now that we've had some more time to invest some R&D into making them better, that they're a little bit better. But yeah, that was my like. Why would I wear a bodysuit when I can wear a leotard? But then also, why would I do this because I have to get naked to go pee?
Yeah.
But,
Because I know from like the cosplay side of things, when they started to put the snaps in the crotch for leotards for specific costumes, it was like this is the best thing ever. Like as soon as it was even suggested, people did like it. So I didn't realize that having snaps in the crotch was a bad thing, but I could see if you're like moving and stretching and dancing that would probably not end up being the best thing that you want.
Like, again, I loved the idea. Like, this is a good plan. Just let's not put them, like, directly where we put them. That's, again,
okay,
yes,
I get what you're
think
saying,
it was, it worked really well. Again, if your goal was not movement.
Okay.
If you were doing a lot of sitting and posing, it is perfect for that. But, like, any sort of actual movement, I'm like, why would you do this? Why would you do this to yourself?
I get you now.
Yeah, and it's funny because so much of like what they have done, and a thing I can't speak to at all because I don't cosplay, but like the undergarment and like bodysuit type stuff that they have, like I feel like they did a leapfrog over what we had in dance for unitards and all that stuff. I was like, no, the bodysuit stuff now that's coming out is way cooler than anything we had that we were required to wear for dance. So yeah, I'm here for it. Maybe it'll slowly get back to us.
Especially the like fashion side of things too.
Yeah.
Kind of, because you would think, like you were saying, dance has proven what the technology needs to be for this. Don't go changing it because you're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
It's been invented. Works great.
We got this. We're good.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'm living for this 90s color palette. All right. Laura Charles in chat also says wedgies. And yes, I would like to second yes. So many wedgies. Okay, so for Randall and Joey specifically, like I feel like there was some really questionable female fashion choices marketed towards us in the 90s. Like what, aside from the crazy Jinko jeans, like what was the weird stuff that you guys got, or the stuff that felt like unattainable, or just like, but why would I wear this but everybody's wearing it? Was there a thing?
Acid wash was big, right? Like that was like coming off the 80s. Everything had to be like, all your denim had to be like bleached. So you're wearing like white jeans.
Just seems the opposite of what you want a jean to be.
Right.
Yep.
Jeans, you can get them super dirty and they always come clean unless they're white.
I think guys' fashion has just gotten like more basic over the years. Like outside of like hammer pants and stuff, like there was that super big like pop fashion, but like just generic guy fashion has gone from like suits and vests and whatnot to like, well, t-shirt and jeans, I'm done. Maybe khakis if I have to dress up.
Oh yeah, like the literally all I can think of is every middle school boy for the chorus concert or the band concert with his khakis, his black pants, and his little polo. Like,
yep.
That was the uniform.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Okay, I was one of those where I
I
felt
feel like character ties got real big in the 90s.
Yeah.
So you saw a lot of like Hanna-Barbera stuff on ties. That was like a big thing.
Hawaiian shirts.
I was about to say
dude.
that before Joey was talking. I was going to say that the other big thing was Hawaiian shirts and tech vests.
Oh, tech vests. Oh god.
Which
like
got corrected into cargo shorts, thankfully.
Yeah. Or even the fleece. The fleece vest.
Fleece, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so
Or those
much
puffy
fleece.
vests. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's really funny.
I'm sure it goes and changes regionally, but the thing I remember being very fashionable for the guys, the boys, was props. Like yo-yos was a huge thing. Everyone had a yo-yo, and everyone was doing yo-yo tricks. Or, God, what were some others? Like Pogs, but that was when we were a little younger.
Yep. Nope. Pogs were big.
And they would always have props.
Yeah, the yo-yo thing, it's so funny because I'm thinking back of like so many boys I knew in middle school had a yo-yo.
I did.
Oh.
Which it was fine. Like, it was cool to have a prop, but I definitely remember, like, that was more than the clothing.
Yeah.
Like, them showing off their light-up Skechers shoes. And, like, it had 3 different colors, or the yo-yo prop, or
Oh, yeah. You
hat.
remember, like, like LA Gear did them, maybe? The light-up shoes?
Yeah, I think it was LA Gear. I think you're right. Oh, and they always had, like, the guys with the big pants and these big shoes and then the bucket hat and...
Bucket hats. Oh my God, you're right. Specifically with the long, stringy blonde hair and the bucket hat on top and the really tiny sunglasses and the white t-shirt. Ringing a bell for anyone else?
Uh-huh.
Super specific vibe, 100%.
Yeah, I was just looking through photos just the other week recently and found the one of me wearing a bucket hat. And I was like, oh, there it is.
When I go to flea markets and they have those places that like just sell random like hats and sunglasses, there's always a booth like that at a outdoor flea market, and I always see bucket hats and I instantly think of you, Randall, and I'm like, one of these days I'm just gonna buy one and be like, I got you a present.
Well, Nelson, my roommate, for those of you who don't know, he works at Target, and he came in today when I showed him this image of the Charmed girls and was like, you know what? I was working in beauty the other day and I saw butterfly clips and I almost bought them for you just as like a gag gift.
Oh, Lord Charles, 100% hacky sacks.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot about hacky sacks.
I never could hacky sack. I still don't think I could. Now I'm too afraid to try. And Kangles? Is that Kangol's? Kangles? I don't know. Is that a shoe brand? I feel like I should know that, but I don't know.
It's a
I
hat
recognize the name.
Hat? Okay. Yeah. Oh, Dell brings up a good one. Crosses. Like religious crosses as a visual.
Onks.
Yeah, like an element. Like I was like, I don't think any of these people are religious. I think that's just a thing. Get that tribal tattoo and that
Jelly bracelets.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the bracelets and the snap bracelets or slap bracelets.
Yeah.
Those are sort of coming back.
Yep.
I got one at a concert, and I was in a really, really boring business call, and I just like was playing with it, and then I like was super bored, and I like held it in my mouth, and it snapped me in the face.
Oh no!
And my coworker was sitting across and like had to mute the call so he could laugh.
Oh, you were on video when it snapped?
No, but like it was a call, so it was all audio. But he was like, I don't want to laugh over
This
the call.
actual thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, and Tamagotchis are straight up back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, Sonomag and Craig, 100% new radicals. Like, I feel like if you wanted to pick a poster child for that super specific aesthetic, new radicals is exactly it. Yep. Yeah. We had the weird, like, semi-religious bracelets that were all the little, like, beads, and different colors meant different things, and that, and Mayor Squish is saying the weird religious bracelets with the pictures of Jesus. Yeah, I feel like Jesus got really big in the 90s as far as branding went, and I don't know why.
We had the WWJD, What Would Jesus Do?
Yeah.
And that was on everything. Necklaces,
Everything.
hats, rings.
Yeah, why was that? Like, why? Tell me, 90s. Tell me why.
I feel like youth group was a big thing. Like every school had a youth group, and they were just marketing all these things to specific, like, the youth group kids.
Yeah.
You had the jocks, you had the like band kids, you had in general popular people, and then there was like that extra clique that was like these are all the kids who are also nice, but they all know each other because they go to the same youth group.
Yeah. Yeah, with their purity rings from Del and Chet.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember the purity rings?
I remember it was a thing, but like I don't remember our youth group doing it. It was just every Friday a bunch of kids would get together and have breakfast, and then they would give out these little strips of heart stickers, and you could give someone a hug and then you give them a sticker, and everyone would get excited because they were like, yeah, I want a sticker. So people who weren't in the youth group were like, yeah, youth group kids, come here, give me a hug, I want that stupid little heart sticker.
The marketing team of youth groups was like strong in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, Mayor Squish in chat says Jesus hired a PR person in the 90s. Not wrong. Oh, Laura in chat laughs and says I was a youth group kid. I was like, yeah, it was big. Just like Sarah said, I feel like youth group was like the thing. Like, if you're not in youth group, what are you doing after school?
Drugs.
4-H.
Drugs.
Drugs.
We're watching
murdering.
after school specials so that we didn't do drugs.
Honestly, I'm still pissed because Dare led me to believe I was going to be offered drugs a lot more
All the
frequently
time.
And I never, but no one offers me drugs. Come on. They're like, I mean, you could buy the shit. And I'm like, no, I was told I would be offered
Yeah,
them.
they're just going to give it to me. The first one is free.
Ain't nobody giving me anything. Yeah. Just get a bumper sticker that says Dare lied to me.
Dare lied.
My friend was wearing a Dare t-shirt to our art meetup the other day.
I mean, free t-shirt's a free t-shirt.
True.
Exactly. Was it an OG one or was it a newly minted one?
I don't know. It fit him, so it's hard to say. Like, I feel like I was small when Dare was a thing, and I definitely would have grown out of my Dare shirt. But in the 90s, everyone wore big stuff.
I also feel like every time they handed those out, they were all like men's extra large and 2X. And I'm like, cool, I can wear this as a sleep shirt for the next 25 years. Sonata Mag still also says, I never got offered drugs. Oh, geez. So some tea from Dell. Ironically, she was in a Christian summer camp, did a whole purity week one year, and the camp owner's son and his girlfriend got bounced from Christian school for her getting pregnant.
Whoops.
Hey, newsflash, purity rings in that culture doesn't work. Just saying.
How come there's no after-school specials anymore?
I feel
We
like
are the
they
after.
Because they don't sell toys.
do
I
not.
guess you're right. Yeah, I never bought any after-school special toys.
They didn't. They should come in the McDonald's Happy Meals. Then maybe
Yeah,
I would
dude.
do it.
That's great cross promotion right there.
I think that maybe they're still out there. I just don't watch cable TV anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I mean, if you remember Degrassi, when they did that remake in the 2000s, and it was like every episode was basically an after-school
An after-school special, yeah.
Like, some kids got gonorrhea this week, and then next week there's a school shooting, and it was
Was
a
there a
lot.
couple different pregnancies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not a Degrassi kid, so I missed a lot of that.
Same.
I watched it in college.
Yeah, like
remember-
I got into it after as well. Like my sister was over one time and she's like, "Oh, let's watch Degrassi." I was like, "What is this? Why is Drake in this show? And why is he in a
What is-
wheelchair?"
What is happening?
I remember you watching Degrassi, Randall. I remember you getting pretty into it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't even know it was like, I thought it was just kind of like another Disney show where they
Yep.
like come up with crazy shenanigans each week, but it's completely wholesome, and then you're telling me stories from Degrassi, and I'm like, oh, that was a completely different level than I thought this show was.
Nope, Kristen, I thought the exact same thing. And I was like, wait, they're covering what?
And then I started to get into it, like, really? What did Cheryl do?
Tell me.
Kennedy did what? Mackenzie with a Y said that to her?
It led me to believe that Canada was way more risque than American high school.
Yeah, all I had for American high school stuff was Power Rangers, and they seem to spend a very small amount of time in school.
Yeah, they weren't in school. They had to fight. They had to fight.
They were at the youth center all the time.
They did go to the youth center.
I love it. As you're saying that, I was like, oh my god, they were. They were.
Which was, by the way, to anyone who might have grown up in a small town, upset that they didn't have such a cool youth center. Like, they had a youth center with a juice bar and, like, workout equipment. And
yeah, ours was not
where
like
was that?
We
didn't even have a youth center.
I didn't have really ridiculously inept bullies either.
No. Our
True.
bullies were smarter than I would. I wish they would have been really dumb. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, in retrospect, like Bulk and Skull were pretty good guys.
I love that you're just like, yeah, I know their names. What?
Oh, yeah. You don't know their names, Emily? Fake fan.
Where's Hebe?
Right.
Give me shit. Be like, excuse me.
Someone that knows more about Power Rangers can correct me, but I remember a friend of mine who's into it said that they're one of the few, like, reoccurring characters in every Power Rangers series. A series,
Are they-
word?
Oh, that would be funny if they just kept bringing them back. I mean, it would make sense, and I would love it as like an inside
They're like
gag.
super old by the most recent ones.
We're still high school bullies.
The actors are in their
Like
50s. Oh gosh, I love it. Oh yes. Going back through. Mayor Squish calling out the very good 2000 Disney stars were wearing the purity rings. I think that's partially why it got such big market saturation, because you had the big names in Disney at the time for live action wearing them. And
Yeah.
Del, I love that you said this, because you are absolutely right. Chicago Bulls fashion. It didn't matter where you lived. It didn't matter if you cared about basketball or not. I feel like Chicago Bulls was just mass mailing hats and jerseys to every middle school in every town, because oh my gosh, there was Chicago's Bulls stuff everywhere.
And if it wasn't Chicago Bulls, it was Charlotte Hornets for some reason.
Well, yeah, because you had to get the Jordan vibes somehow.
Yeah.
I was like, I like the Charlotte Hornets because they have blue and purple. That's all I cared about.
Yeah, I like that color scheme.
I was gonna say I had a starter jacket growing up.
Oh, starter jackets.
Yeah, support my team.
Those just died. That's crazy. Like, they were such a big... You saw them everywhere. It seems like such simple team gear that it would, like, never go away. It's just like a nylon hoodie.
But boy, you wanted one so bad, because at a certain point, like, everybody in end of elementary school into high school is like trying to stuff that big puffy jacket into their locker, and you're just like, wow, they're so cool. I don't actually remember it being very, like, I think it was warm, but like I don't remember it as a like actual functioning article of clothing. I just remember I had to be really careful with it because it was expensive and I didn't want anything bad to happen to it.
I have another 90s topic that we can lament over, which is food. Like specific, like Gushers or Lunchables or things like that.
Which are two things that I still consume as an adult because I am good at life. And to that point, can we talk about the Gushers marketing campaign where like their heads would pop up and turn into fruit?
Oh god, there was terrifying ads in the 90s.
The little honeycomb guy, I was like, what is happening?
Like, they're just starting to discover computer animation, and they're like, hey, what if we did this cool new thing? And it's just a monstrosity.
It's like, this is terrifying. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like again, Kristen, I feel like it's very much geared towards like a whole group of kids who now have both of their parents working, and so they're home alone and they're watching TV, and like, what can we market to them in gigantic, loud, obnoxious ways that they're gonna then want to buy and get their parents to buy for them.
Latchkey was a big thing back then, and yeah, you're making me realize now like how much stuff was marketed specifically towards latchkey kids or like home kids.
Yep.
Like stuff for us to do while we're home alone so that we don't set things on fire.
I was gonna say burn down the house. Is
Yeah.
really what can we do to keep them from destroying the property?
Nerf guns. Those were like in super soakers.
Oh, I had so many super soakers. Which was funny because I was an only child for a really long time and I lived in the country with no neighbors. Like, why did I own
Man,
so
I'm
many
gonna have a
soakers?
squirt gun fight this summer. You're just.
It's just me. It's just me. Oh. Oh, Sonata Meg, I love this so much. She says, Lunchables are just baby charcuterie. And you are not wrong in any way. Oh, I love me some baby charcuterie. Oh my gosh.
I mean, packed with sodium, but they were delicious.
They really were.
What was your favorite?
To actually have as a meal, the pizza ones, the ones that I still currently buy to this day, are the nacho cheese
The nacho ones were super good, yes.
I never eat the salsa, I only ever eat the cheese. To this day. Yep.
Oh, those were the ones I thought were the grossest. I like the straight ham and cheese.
Oh, I hated it. I couldn't do it. I was like, this ham tastes very weird. Why does it taste so weird?
I like
Don't
the
worry,
ham
that's
and
just
cheese.
all of the salt.
Every bit of sodium we can put in this.
My favorite were definitely the pizza ones, but those nacho ones were like a real close second. Do you remember when they came out with the taco ones?
Yes.
With like the weird flatbread that was just the soft pizza dough?
Yeah, I was like, this is weird. Yeah, Del, nitrates for days. Okay, yes. So got a bunch happening in chat that I want to. Skull. Yes. I gotta roll. But oh wow, a lot happened. Yes. So Orlando Magic was also another big team. Yep. Roller rink. I feel like going to the roller rink was such an activity and an event. Like you had a pizza party at the roller rink. It was a whole thing. Everybody did it. I'm
We
kind of
worked at a
sad
roller
now.
rink.
Yeah. I haven't been to one in probably 20 years. I'm kind of sad. Also talking about fashion and like accessory type stuff, skulls. Skulls and crosses all mashed together. And I don't blame
Look at my spider ring. My
Yeah.
spider ring I got for 5 tickets at the arcade. It's pewter. It's got lead in it.
It's got oh my God.
Oh god. Yes, the Orbeez, the drink that had all the different floating balls in it. I remember we studied it in
Laser drinks.
high school. I think it was earth science of all things, but we were talking about different like volume and density type stuff. And Mayor Squish would like to know, did we have center shock? Because those just sort of vanished at some point, and I don't. So center shock doesn't mean anything to me, but that doesn't. I also was missing a lot of things in the 90s, so that's not a guarantee.
Center shock? Laser
Yeah.
tag? Had laser tag.
Those are
Center shock like the drink? Or something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We got stumped.
You got us. What was it?
So, yes. Okay. It's like playing. Also, Dell brings up Snapple Elements. Yeah, I feel like Snapple like way upped their marketing game in the 90s and really just like they were everywhere. Like, and it was a whole thing. Like, you had to get the Snapple fact. Like, whatever was under that cap, you had to know the Snapple fact. Come to find out years later, I was like, you mean they lied to me on some of those, and some of those weren't real facts? No! I'm so mad at you. I know I'm doing it for face, but it's not right. Okay. Center Shock was a sour chewing gum, but it's misleading because the sour part was the coating, not the center. Wow.
So it's like Warhead gum.
Yeah. We had, like, I remember Bubblicious, and that packaging was big. I don't ever remember, yes. No, I can't remember. Center Shock. Yeah, I'm wondering if it was just a European thing. That's really interesting.
I mean, we had was Jolt? Was that early 2000s or was that late 90s? Like Jolt and Surge, and when caffeine gum and shit was big.
I mean, I was drinking a lot of Surge in the like early aughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Jolt was older.
And then they were like, "Wait, this is killing people."
Wait, it's exploding their hearts? That's bad.
Right? That's bad. Like, I feel like they'd question it. Like, that's bad, right?
That's bad, right? We need to not do that? Okay. Well, just because you said so. Also, Kristen, I love everything you're doing with her eyes, but I also love that even in just the zoomed in chunk, you can tell that it's her. Like, you captured her face so well.
Thank you, because that was really hard. I appreciate you saying that, because I was even lamenting to Randall, like, I don't know where eyes go. And then,
How do eyes do?
How do eyes do?
Yeah, it looks
and then
really
to try
good.
to make it look like a real person is just insane. But I analyzed every aspect of her face, which, again, harkening back to Randall and I talking, we do that a lot. She is just that very pretty without any identifying features. Like, I could have sworn she had freckles. I could have sworn she had moles and freckles, and she doesn't.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm positive she had freckles.
She
My
has
life is a
very
lie.
clean, just
Oh my God.
pristine skin. No, here, I'll even go to my little reference. There's no freckles on this beautiful lady.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she doesn't have a mole. I could have sworn she had a mole. I feel like dark version of her had an evil mole instead of an evil mustache, but nope. The only thing really very much her is her widow's peak. She was one of the very few actresses where she would show her widow's peak.
Okay.
Which this photo doesn't really show that well. You can definitely see it when you see spoiler, dark version Willow. She has a very prominent natural widow's peak.
Just leaned into it. She's like, yeah, get the Vegeta hair going.
Yeah. Because I remember widow's peaks being a very unfashionable thing for a long time, and then she's just like, nope, I'm gonna wear mine. So I was always, as someone who also had a widow's peak, I appreciated that of her because it was representation. I mean,
Again,
really subtle representation, but
still, but what a weird, again, so many weird things in the 90s, but what a strange thing to go after. Be like, yeah, how dare you have this natural hairline that you have no control over that grows out of your head. Well, if you don't have the straight across or the rounded, then, clearly you're not cool. What?
Yeah.
Why?
But it was a thing. Definitely, I remember having to wear bangs until the hatred of widow's peaks went away.
Oh.
Which is such an odd thing because it's just like you said, it's just a hairline, and people can get made fun of much more valid reasons, but I don't know, widow's peaks, whatever.
That's so much different hair in the 90s. I did the Luke Perry 90210 hair for a while. I did the flat top. I remember doing a flat top.
You really? Wow.
Did you have the, forgive me with the Luke Perry, did you have the center part with I think it was Jonathan Taylor Thomas, all of that Devon Sawa,
oh yeah, the skater cut.
Yeah. Oh, my little preteen heart. Look at his floppy hair.
That floppy hair was a definite, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Neighbor
I
Dan.
did it too.
Neighbor Dan floppy hair.
Little Emily couldn't figure out why she liked it, but she knew that she did. Oh my goodness.
Also, I had to turn on my fan because it's turning into an oven in here. Is it coming through on my mic?
Like, I think a little bit, but not bad at all, and not enough for
Okay.
you to roast to death.
Because I could just mute my mic if it was really distracting.
Nah, you're good. Oh, Dell coming in strong with Manic Panic. When those were first hitting shelves and everyone's like, you could have blue hair too. And I'm like, oh, I want blue hair, but I'm not brave enough to do it. Oh.
Or just the one little strand of bright shock pink hair.
Yeah. Oh, also totally 100%. So again, I've had a large forehead forever, and anytime I couldn't make bangs work because pre-puberty and acne, I would do those two just thin little strands to frame my face, get my butterfly clips in, those like pristine little Why? That was not a good look. It's not a good look. Not a good decision, but I did it. Eesh. Really
Yeah, I went back recently when I got Disney Plus, and Kristen and I actually started it when she came to visit.
I know what you're gonna say.
And so we were rewatching
So
So
excited.
Weird.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever watched that show. It's great, but like her fashions, the main character Fee, and just the way that she styled her hair, 100% like butterfly clips, the little wispy hair bangs off to the sides to frame her face.
That had a witch in it. I might have even been tempted to do. Oh my god, So Weird was such a good. It was a Disney show, but it was very different than a lot of their other Disney shows. I always called it X-Files for kids.
Ooh,
Because
okay.
she would travel around the country, and she would encounter. She's searching them out, but she is like a homemade paranormal investigator, and she runs into the gambit. It's not just like fantasy creatures. Sometimes it's aliens. Sometimes it's government conspiracies. Sometimes it's ghosts, supernatural creatures. It was such a good show.
I am kind of sad. I feel like I missed that completely. I have no memory of it, but also as you were talking, all I could think of was Alex Mack and how much I wanted to be cool like Alex Mack, and I'm just like,
But she wasn't popular in the show.
No,
Like,
she
she
was
was
Yeah.
like one of the loser kids who happened to also get superpowers. But for some reason, I'm like, if me as a loser kid got these powers, I'd be awesome.
I too am a loser kid.
I just saw something recently that was a meme going around, but it's like kind of true when I think back on it. And it was saying like, you cannot tell me that Alex Mack was not like the very first bisexual icon of the 1990s.
Ooh.
Like, because she gave that kind of vibe.
Yes. Yeah, she really did. Before we even understood what was going on with our sexuality.
Yeah, because she wore like the flannels and the backwards cap.
Oh yeah, she had that. Again, that tomboy aesthetic, which I just loved. That was my coming out of the like being a little kid and really loving like pink dresses and everything. Like as soon as the tomboy thing started to kick off, I was like, nope, here's home. I'm happy here now. This is nice. Okay, like no more skirts or dresses for me.
Speaking of bisexual icons, I learned very recently that Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch was canonically bisexual in both the comics as well as the TV show, though it was just very subtle. And it was like a confirmed by creators sort of thing much later.
Aw, I like that.
Then Disney stepped in and said, no, you can't do that.
Whoa. Hold up.
He does say like a few lines in the show, but they can definitely be played off as like a joke. Like he offers to date Harvey a couple times.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really cute.
that's
Throws him a big wink.
Oh, I love that so much.
And yeah, the creators were like, yeah, no, we definitely realized that it had to be played off as a joke, but in the comics, he's most definitely like confirmed. And then we also wanted to follow that, but we couldn't for reasons.
It was the 90s. We didn't want to incite gay panic.
No, panic!
And a cat.
Yeah. Well,
This
what
cat
would
fucks.
well, can't have that.
Channel.
Cover your ears, children.
I hate to break it to you.
I have to turn you into a pineapple.
Oh my gosh. It's too funny. Okay, I gotta I gotta go back on the chat. So much happening. Okay, so something I don't personally remember, but throwing it out to the chat. Clearly Canadian and Bartles and James, which sound vaguely like things I've heard of, but are not ringing a bell beyond that.
I
Yeah.
remember Oh Canada. Was that on Adult Swim?
That
Or
was
MTV?
late night before Adult Swim. And then
Yeah.
after Adult Swim was a thing, they pushed it later. But at midnight, they would play half an hour or an hour of Canadian-produced shorts.
Huh.
I remember that.
See, again, I love this for all the fun facts, for all the things each of us remember. Also, Sonata Mag coming in with a fun fact. Luke Perry's son is a pro wrestler named Jungle Boy with AEW. And that's
Hell yeah.
Also, Laura Charles calling out the iconic Clueless having the most amazing 90s fashion. Yes, the description of boys' clothes is one of the best. Yes, that is also my first time falling in love with Paul Rudd and Breckin Meyer. And yes, Dell, you make a great point. Not cool with the bi erasure that they did of Willow. Very, very not cool. It was hint before hint. Also, gotta bring back those the party lines. Calling into a party line to chat with people and listen to music. And I'm like, I never did it, but I was very curious. I was like, what's happening? What's happening on there? I want to know. Oh, the 90s.
I feel like I'm gonna have to add like Kirby Crackle to this to really get this magic effect popping.
I like it. Also, I hate you for it, but I love Salem's face so gosh darn much. It's so good, and I love it, and I want more of it. Yeah. Like, look at it! Look at his face! Oh, I love it. Oh.
I was inspired by popular 90s anime Sailor Moon to make
Yeah.
Salem look like that.
Yeah. I mean, you're writing a love letter to 3 members of the Doodle Crew right now. So that whole top row of us right now are just like, oh.
Yeah, I was just talking to Emily the other week when we were like coming up with ideas for this, and Kristen and I, were going through the whole roster of like, there was Charmed and there was The Craft and obviously Hocus Pocus, and then I was like, oh my god, I didn't even think about the fact that Sailor Moon in the S season had Witches 5. Like,
Yeah,
it's literally in the name.
Even Beryl could be considered a witch because she's got the whole like crystal ball motif and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that, and I had that moment where I was like, "Is it too late to change?" Because I like but also I realized I was like, it would be straight up fan art because I cannot find any fault or anything I want to change with the Witches 5 designs. Like, I love them top to bottom, and they're just so good. I'm like, I would just be nerding out with the fan art the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sailor Moon's got some iconic designs, but those Witches 5 are pretty solid, which is like the black stringiness and then the one primary color.
Oh, it's so good.
And they like are all so different, but they definitely connect together. So good.
So good. All right.
I'm doing that thing where I was dumb and started coloring without changing the background canvas from white, so everything looks way too dark. And I'm like, I should probably change that because color theory.
Okay, I'm also now personally mad at you because I also did not change my background, and now I'm afraid to look at what this one looks like. But I've got some frosted eyeliner or eyeshadow and lips, so I feel like I'm on the right direction. All right, let's see. Okay, all right, that's not terrible. That's okay. We're good. Also, save reminder for everybody.
Good call.
Thank you. Oh, literally, Mayor Squish, you and I are on the same page. So kudos to Mayor Squish for keeping us honest, because could be bad.
Is it bad? I keep saying I'll save right after I finish this section.
Yes, that's how you get heartbroken. That's how bad things happen.
Save.
Oh, we are still down for the count. Look at this cuteness. I can't handle the cuteness. No. My little buddy.
I want to know the individual who designed all of the Power Rangers outfits, because I have so many questions, but I also want to be like, good job.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because you can tell exactly which season it is because of the way that the costumes are designed.
And like everything's like all the space creatures, you're like, I question every choice here, but it's space fashion.
But it works? Like, I don't understand it, but it works? Yeah.
It also does a pretty good job of being absolutely silly, but kind of menacing. Like, I definitely wouldn't want to encounter any of those creatures in real life, despite how silly they might appear.
Like, the putties were ridiculous. But at the same time,
creepy.
you've got enough of them, and you're like, oh, this could be kind of scary. Okay.
And all their weird space armor.
Did the putties make that same sound in the original?
I hope so.
Question.
I do hope so, because I'm pretty sure to this day, for how much Power Rangers I made my father watch, he could still do the putties sound effect. Ooh. Oh, God.
All right, I probably have time to flat this in, and then I have to go pick up my car from the garage.
Oh, boy. I'm so glad it worked out that we got to have you, Joey. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoy coming on Doodle Crew, so I tried to get in for a bunch of them this season.
Yeah.
So you're going to be getting a lot of me.
And I'm not
And,
apologizing for it.
Nope, nor should you. And also, I know there are talks again for another Doodle Crew.
Yes.
So if anybody's interested in that, we're going to do some other after hours.
Get it. Get it.
There's potential talk, not through Twitch, because terms of service, but possibly through YouTube, where we would do, like a paid invite type thing, because we've had a number of people who said they would like to be in chat while we're drawing.
Oh yeah, it would be it'd be awesome to have a chat going.
Yeah. So know that if you are a fan of that, I am working on it to try and figure out. But I think everybody I've talked to, Steve's on board. Mayor Squish is on board. Joey, I assumed you were. I think
Oh,
Jeff's
yeah.
on board, so we
Hundo
can.
P.
I will work on getting that up and going.
Alright. Let's mute this down. Push it to blue.
Also, I love it that every time I come on here, I'm like, you know what? This is the time. This is the time I don't work so sketchy and I get clean lines and everything's going to be nice.
Ugh.
Spoilers! Didn't happen this time either. 22 episodes later and I still haven't done it, but maybe next time. Check us out next Wednesday to see if Emily does it. It's okay. It's funny, I shared a picture with Joey and Jeff earlier today? I can't remember. But it was from Comic-Con, which, so long ago.
Someday.
Comic-Con
Someday.
2018, where it was a panel that we all did, but it was like, so it was the three of us, 4, 5, like 6 artists.
Yeah.
And it was all, like, there was chatting and interviewing and stuff, but it was pretty much just the audience could call out different prompts, and we would do it. And I was like, aw, that was kind of like our OG Doodle Crew before we were really a crew. All drawn and fun.
It'll be interesting, you know, once
It's
we
your
get
origin
back to
story.
some shows to do a panel. I would do a Doodle Crew panel for
I would
sure.
100% do a Doodle Crew panel. Yeah. It is. Yes, Kristen, very much. It is our origin. Like, and it was kind of funny because as Doodle Crew was coming together, like, there were a bunch of different things, like, inspiring it and everything. But as it came together, I was like, oh, we've kind of all been preparing for this in different ways. And now we get to be here and do it. Aw, thank you, Sonata Mag. Sonata Meg says, yay, Little Crew.
Okay, got my flats in.
Kind of starting to feel like this dress needs to have like little flowers on it. Like I feel like that was a pattern that we couldn't get away from.
Especially those like daisy flowers.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking. I was like, it's got to be daisy flowers.
Because it was kind of like the revibrance of the 60s, the 1960s, with like the peace symbols, the hearts, the smiley faces, and those
Yep.
flowers kind of came back. So
Nope, that makes perfect sense. I don't think I had ever actually sat and put it together, the fact that it was like, it was bringing all that back, but you're exactly right.
Yep.
because I remember my parents saying like, really, you're going to have a smiley face like trapper keeper? Smiley faces were our thing. You can't. You don't keep our fashion on. And now it's like us like, really, you're gonna wear like the tiny stretchy choker? That was our thing. Like, why are you? It's like, oh, we're gatekeeping our own.
Yeah, the amount of
I've
like
become
eating
like,
up my words.
Oh God, I get it now.
I get it now. I hate it so much. Like, as we were talking about earlier with, you know, I used to pick on my parents because they'd be like, oh, I've got terrible sinus pressure today. There must be a storm front coming through. And now I'm like, oh God, I get it. I get it. I'm so sorry. Yes. Yes, Kruggles. So... yes, Sonata Mag, the baby doll dresses.
Good
Okay.
night.
Damn COVID.
No.
It's 100% allergy time.
Oh my gosh, it has been so bad lately. Yeah, I've not been happy. Yep. Yeah, to the Empire Waste thing, like that is such a specific style that is also very unflattering to a lot of forms.
Yeah.
And for as much of a Jane Austen fangirl as I am, I was like, I could do it. I could rock Empire Waste. The narrator will come in at this point and says she actually couldn't.
She couldn't.
It was not built for her body type. Yep. Also, Regency era had like a whole bunch of like bodice understructure things happening, which they just conveniently fail to mention, you know, when they sell these little paper thin shirts with this design. I'm not bitter, it's fine.
And with like the Regency callback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who did it?
It's me. It's always me.
I'm going to tempt fate. Is there a smoke detector going on?
I was just gonna say, I'm waiting for it. We haven't had one in a bit. We're due. Yeah, Laura very, very accurately says, we're old guys. Yeah, we are not as young as we once were.
I don't think some of us were ever young. We're an old man upon our birth. Right,
Are you
Randall?
speaking for yourself?
I was gonna say, if you don't call me out on that,
That's what I was saying. Right, Randall? We were
Uh-huh.
never children. We were always just a crotchety old man.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I came for a kid last night who was talking about how, you know, people in their 30s, like, as if we're old people, and how we need to just grow up and get over it if they don't want to date or whatever. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, some of us are approaching death. Like, you and your young 22-year-old body, like, you have no idea what it means to start having a panic attack because it's like, oh God,
I'm gonna
creeping
die soon.
closer.
Is that the Reaper?
I hear, oh Lord, he coming! Oh Lord, he coming! Oh yes, Sonata Mag says might have just been a British thing, but Navy Adidas tracksuit pants were everywhere in the 90s. Yes, very much like the whole suit, like the full zip
Tracksuits.
yeah, like that whole thing, very very much so. Also, love it. Soapbox Cloud's coming in saying relatable. So yes.
Little too relatable. We laugh about it, but then we're also like, wow, I feel like garbage after the stream. Just like,
Okay, so like real talk, after the first episode back, I definitely laid down and took a 2-hour nap because I was tired. Oh, it's fine.
Boy, that really took it out of me. Nap time.
But Emily, you are like me, and you do all the things. And
It's true. I'm not always good at taking a break, even when my body needs it. So sometimes it takes a break for me, and it's like, no, we're done now.
The time
didn't
to
want to
sleep has come.
It's time to sleep.
no, we're done now. I like that.
That was me last night. I was like, oh, I can stay up and do this. Like, I want to do the promo for this and everything. And my body's like, ha 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 ha. No, you're literally going to fall asleep on the couch like the 80-year-old that you are. And I was like, I just sat down for a minute.
That's all it takes.
All it takes.
You let your guard down.
I did. I say constant vigilance, but I didn't do it. Oh, my goodness. Oh, thank you, Mayor Squish. She says it's true. Emily does all the things. Yeah, it's been, even for my own standards, it's been a little bit extra nutty these past couple of weeks. So, yeah, outdoing myself, which is not a thing that we should be doing. But
You mean
Oh.
candles don't burn at both ends normally?
All the time, every candle ever. Oh, it's fine. It is weird though, and as we were talking about it earlier, Joey, to not have like the end of the season Comic-Con craziness rush. Like usually at this time I'm also trying to like finish that book I should have done a month ago and get it to the printers and seeing
I
if
gotta
they'll
get more
rush.
shit done. I gotta have stuff to sell.
Oh no! Yeah. And it doesn't break my heart that I'm not going through that.
Yeah, for sure. I do miss. I can't wait to get back. Like Hunter and I are planning like a whole tour next season. So.
Aw, yeah.
Speaking of that, we're also planning some new stuff with the other channel.
Heck
So
yeah.
hopefully we'll be getting some content going with that again soon. Potentially rebranding. We'll have to see what happens.
Ooh. Mystery and intrigue.
I just have to turn the thumb screws on him a little bit, I think.
Well, I also want to shout out also awesome Doodle Crew member Megan has been streaming on her Twitch channel, so we're getting all the Twitch fans. Oh, awesome! Thank you, Sonata. Have a wonderful one. Have fun at the fair. Yeah. But also, I know we were talking about it earlier. I can't remember if it was when we were live or not. Sarah was saying the fact that it's already October, and not that far into it, but still, it's October, and I can't wrap my brain around that.
Yes.
Hello. Are you saying it is dinner time?
That's what mine is saying. It is dinner time.
You just got up from your nap. Do you need to wake up a bit? No? Oh no, nap some more.
Dell calling out the who else was paranoid that the sound of the modem would wake your parents up. I love that, but also I love that you think I was allowed to be up when my parents were up and on the internet, because that was definitely not a thing. And our computer was in the family living space, so there was no hiding any of that. Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say I don't think I did any late night AIM chats until high school. So.
I have very fond memories of having Adult Swim or Tsunami's Midnight Run going on in the background while playing Gaia Online on the computer. And those were both in the family room, which was like 2 floors below where my parents slept. So I actually have very fond memories of doing that exact thing of having the volume on at its absolute lowest setting. So I wouldn't wake them up.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, also Dell saying that she's a little bit older than me. I also will admit I was a incredibly sheltered child. So there was definitely stuff with some of this where I'm I feel like I should have experienced that, but I definitely didn't. I think, and just funny because again you're on this video with us, I think that I had that realization often with talking with you, Sarah, when you would talk about stuff you were watching in the 90s and the early 2000s and all of that, and I was just I missed all of this, tell me more. I don't know, I don't remember any of these things. I was is this what people were doing, really?
All I did was watch cartoons all the time, just so everyone knows I wasn't doing anything nefarious.
No, I was very jealous of your cartoon knowledge.
All right. Well,
time for you to be out.
I am going to have to go and pick up my car before the garage closes for the day.
Let's bring this up so everyone can see.
I got it flatted.
Yeah.
Ooh,
super-
that's cute.
That's super cute.
Is that the Little Witch Academia outfit?
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, and where can people find you?
So you can find me everywhere on the internet at Slooty Mage.
Yay! Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. We super
No
appreciate it.
problemo. And then
Yeah.
I think I'm back on for the next one.
I think next week. Yeah, so next
Yeah,
Wednesday. So, yay!
excite.
Much excite. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you again soon.
Sounds good. Have a good rest of your stream, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
There we go. Then
How I
there we go.
missed him.
I know. I think, and it has been a sentiment shared by everybody I've talked to, but I think all of us like missed each other during the hiatus. I was like, oh, I really missed my Doodle Crew friends and being on stream with everybody. So I know I am personally thrilled to be back.
And we missed you.
Yay! I'm glad. Yeah, no, it was fun though. I super appreciate everybody who said yes and interviewed with me. I think that was very fun content to put out, but I certainly was excited to get back to the drawing part. Yeah, Doodle Crew hype. Yes.
My cat says, no more arting, only pets.
Thankfully, mine is still asleep, and so she's cooperating and not asking for pets just yet.
Mine is taking a silent vigil, waiting, watching.
So much 90s. So much 90s happening on this canvas.
Oh, those colors. Bam.
So much. Just loud. Just get loud.
Somebody did the song at karaoke last night, Hurt So Good.
It is exactly that.
I like that because I rotated my canvas, it looks like I have now switched to doing like the adult version where she's just like sultry and like lying in bed.
I feel like a lot of Charmed was all about those bedroom eyes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they did those really well.
That's where I learned it from.
Oh, hello.
You went to the charmed school
Mhm.
for your bedroom eyes.
Okay, so I don't remember, but when did Charmed officially like premiere?
1998.
Okay. Because I definitely have more
So-
memories of it from like my high school years, but I was pretty sure it was already running before that.
Yeah, season 1 was 98. Season 2 started in 99, and then it ran all the way up through 2005, I want to say.
When did they do the cast switch?
After the
Season-
third season. Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a shame, but understandable.
Yeah. I mean, because I really love Rose McGowan, and she was such a good character. Like, to come in and have to follow up that and just be like the new one, you know,
Yeah.
like for what it was worth, she did an amazing job.
That's good.
And funny enough, you know, despite her being the replacement, she's actually in the show longer than Shannon Doherty was
Yep.
as Brew.
It was
That's
weird.
That's so funny though. See, I think that's why I asked, because I had this impression she was only in it for like the last 2 seasons or something, because I never think of her when I think of it, but thought that she was actually in it a really long time.
Because the series kept going,
Even though it shouldn't have.
even though it shouldn't have. Should have ended like with so many other shows at season 5, but it didn't.
Yeah, I was actually just having that conversation yesterday about Supernatural.
Oh.
Season never. It should have ended at season 5. Buffy should have ended at season 5. Like, that's always where they go. That's never where they end. But we still watched it because Charmed was good, regardless.
Well, at a certain point, like, you're in it. Like, you can't stop, even though, like, you're like, I don't know if I like it anymore, but I can't stop.
They got me.
What if it gets better?
Exactly. I don't want to miss it.
What the hell? What did I just do? How did I do that?
So I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm just having this realization, 2 hours in, where so much of this stream has literally been all of us being Steve Buscemi in our backwards baseball cap and our zip up thing, be like, hello, fellow youths. We too remember these young years. Cracking myself up all over again.
Yeah, you should have seen me last night with that younger guy that was out, because my friend Mike could tell that I was getting triggered and I was about to go off on this kid, and he's like, all right, I think we're going to call it a night.
And we're good. Okay.
It's like, it's already late. It's after midnight. I think we're going to head out. And I was like, yeah, you better get that little thing away from me before I rip him apart.
And for your safety and his.
I quote, we didn't grow up with apps.
Mm-mm.
I almost came back with like one of those lines like, back in my day, app used to stand for appetizer.
I know. Which, it's so weird to me when like Applebee's was really pushing like, yeah, you can get apps and trying to capitalize on it. And I'm like, all of this is bad. Just stop. This is a bad decision. You should stop. Yeah. So I realized in some of my teaching, especially this summer, because I was teaching a Procreate class, and I had some much younger students, and I know this is nothing new, and I'm not the only person to have this realization, especially as a teacher, but the fact that so many of these kids now did not experience like the technology growth that we did, but also, let's say, technology hardship, but the fact that they were literally figuring it out as they were putting out new computers. So there was a lot of troubleshooting, and there was a lot of stuff you had to do because the apps didn't work great. The programs didn't work great. Like, they were still working out the bugs. And unfortunately, that has kind of translated into, I don't see a lot of these kids having the ability to troubleshoot or problem solve with the applications themselves. Like, well, it's not working. Miss Emily, why isn't it working? I was like, oh, did you try this? Did you know, sometimes you have to close this program and reopen it. Well, why? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know why. It's just, that's what design programs do. Sometimes you have to close them and reopen them. This is just a thing. But it was a very surreal, just like, well, did you test this? Did you try this? And they're like, well, it's just not working. I'm like, okay.
Or the fact that choosing to restart your computer is an entirely foreign concept to them.
That's terrifying.
Just like, but why would I do that? Like, it's like, because it fixes it when it's slow. Like, I don't know why exactly. It's just, it does.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again? It's literally a thing. What were you going to say, Kristen?
I can't remember anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I could turn it off and turn it back on again, I suppose.
If only brains did work like that.
So it's sad because I still approach like sleep at night to that, where I was like, no, that's my literal like going to bed and turning it off and turning it back on again. And now I should work, like, I shouldn't hurt in the morning because I did the sleep thing and now I'm all ready and refreshed. Spoiler, it doesn't always
partially work. A thing. Like, that's your time for your brain to dump a bunch of the stuff that it's like accumulated.
Yeah. All I know is I could do with a defrag. I am not optimized currently.
Yeah,
I like that. I'm due for a defrag.
your memory blocks are segmented.
They are incredibly segmented. It's there's a whole prism effect happening there. Like, oh, what's that big chunk? Oh dear.
All right, I have a fun little artist problem where I am attempting to draw the little daisies, these cute little dorky daisies that are on her shirt. I'm like, oh, okay, I can draw a flower. I can't draw a flower. I've been sitting here like for the past 2 conversations and I just can't draw a flower. So I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna grab a clip art flower because that's literally like sometimes you're like, oh, I go to drawing hands and faces and then you can't draw a daisy.
Yep.
And
I
that's
support
just
you.
art sometimes.
Yep.
That is just
Also, at that point, once I have one that works, am I copy and pasting that? You sure as shit bet I am.
yeah.
Hi, Laura. Thank you.
Don't know why I can't draw a daisy today. Or any day.
Apparently today is not Daisy Day.
We're not feeling it today. So you know what? Yes, I'm tracing it. At me in the comments. I don't care.
I mean, I started this stream tracing an entire photograph, so I think you're fine tracing a flower.
Yeah. It's just some days doesn't happen.
Also, I think it's funny because of all the stuff I drew and doodled in high school and middle school, I was never a flower person. Like, that was not a thing I doodled. And so many of the other people in our classes were always drawing these amazing flowers, and I was super jealous because I'm just like, I just don't draw flowers, though. Like, I could draw this cute little anime girl, but I can't draw flowers. And yeah.
Yep.
It's weird.
I know, it's been a time.
It was the biggest mind blow for me when I learned that, so if you're looking at comic books or manga or anything like that, the artist draws the characters, but they more often than not have a completely different person that draws just flowers. So like if it's like a romance, where you have like all those fun, colorful flowers in the background during like romantic scenes, those flowers are not drawn by the artist. They're drawn by someone who just is hired to draw flowers. Or specific backgrounds, like if you have really high perspective backgrounds, there's a background artist that comes in and they do all the backgrounds for like 18 different like comic book artists or mangaka, what have you. And that was a big mind blow for me because this whole time I thought that the one artist drew everything within said comic. It's like, no, they most definitely do not. And that's fine. That's fine to have someone who specializes in just drawing flowers.
I learned that from Ren and Stimpy. They had a special segment that happened like in a commercial break, and they introduced this lady who was the animator who only drew hairballs. Like she was the hairball animator, and it was her job to, anytime Stimpy had a hairball, she was the one that animated it. It was her sole job.
Really funny.
I can almost imagine how that scene plays out too. Where like he's just like, really? She'd have to draw one right now if I threw a hairball? Like, yes. And then he does it.
Also, I loved, as you were saying that, I 100% in the project I did with Randall and Sarah, tapped Sarah, be like, hey, do you want to make some really detailed backgrounds of Pittsburgh? She's like, sure. And I'm like, cool, because I don't. And they look amazing. And I love it. It always cracks me up now when I hand out the book because, oh gosh, we published that in 2014. And people are like, these backgrounds are amazing. I'm like, I know. I can take 0 credit for them. Here, look at my drawn page. Do you see how there is nothing in the background of it? Yeah, I didn't do any of that. That was all her. So here's her link. Here's her page. Enjoy.
I mean, I think that's such an important thing to talk about, too, that people have that misconception like we did growing up, thinking that someone, whoever's name is at the top of the roster for like the comic you're reading or the show you're watching, they don't do everything. And I think a lot of people get discouraged thinking that they have to be able to do everything so well.
Yep. And even too for us, like in college, it was so frustrating because until you got to like production projects where you were working together with a team, you were expected to do everything. And it's like,
Yeah.
but that's not actually how this will go. Like, I appreciate that we need to learn the different aspects of it, but we're never going to be in this situation again. Why do you torture us?
I definitely get the mentality of like, we don't know what we want to do yet, so they're showing us like every possible thing there is to do until we discover what we want to do. But yeah, it's pretty grueling in the beginning. Yeah.
And then they tell you that you should be a jack of all trades because that's the only way you'll get hired, and that is a lie.
Okay, there's a layer. Where's the? Oh, it's got to in there.
Yeah, I literally just had this conversation yesterday where we were talking about careers. And I said, you know, when I was younger, I used to want to be an architect. And then my friend in 8th grade saw me drawing cartoon characters and was like, you're really good at that. Why don't you go to school to draw cartoons? And I'm like, why don't I go to school to draw cartoons? But I mentioned that I'm not, you know, that I wanted to be an animator, but I'm not doing that right now. And he was like, oh, well, maybe someday. And I'm like, ew, no. No, I grew up and I realized that animation is very hard and I lack the skills for it. And no, I don't want to ever do an animation job.
I remember the first time someone asked me about, you know, my life path after college and all of that. And they were asking about, you know, well, why didn't you go to California and get a job in animation? And I very bluntly told them that when I graduated, I wasn't good enough. Yeah. And like the look of shock on their face where they're just like, what? I'm like, I was not good enough to get hired in the industry that I loved because I was not good enough coming out of school. And I could have gone back to school and gotten better, but I didn't, and, you know, chose a different path. But yeah, it was that weird, like, wait, you graduated, you got the degree, you did the things, but what? You're not doing the work? And I was like, nope, did different work. Did work I could do. And then I found comics, and things were better. Yeah. I just, again, in its infancy and the infancy of YouTube and everything, like, looking at the portfolios that were coming out of like all of the California animation schools, and I'm just like, these are so good. Yeah. My stuff doesn't look anything like this. Oh no.
Yeah, I think that for me was the eye-opening moment where I'm like, maybe I'm not cut out to do this.
I also think our specific training was not like pointing us in quite that direction.
Yeah.
Like they didn't know. They were like, you're going to be doing video games, right? That's the big thing now.
That's true. We really seem to have had much more focus on video games than animation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a weird time because they were trying to teach us Flash.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, they were kind of right since a lot of us went to video games. Like, I hate to admit it, but a lot of our graduating class even, or at least I know Randall's in my graduating class, like, majority of us ended up in video games.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have 15 years experience in the gaming industry.
That's great. Okay, also, can I just tell you how much you saying that number just hurt my heart a little bit? I'm like, oh my God, you only graduated a quarter after me. Oh no. I remember the last time I was updating my resume and going through stuff, and I was like, yeah, I did 7 years at this place, I did 5 years at this place, and a bunch of years at this. Oh God. Oh no, that's a lot of years. Oh, it's fine. Everything's fine.
It's not, but we'll...
It's not, but I smile through the pain. Oh Lord. Yeah, it's funny. I also feel like as you were talking about, what they were setting us up for, like the technology at the time was changing so rapidly too. And so like I just remember you had students in our classes who were learning ZBrush alongside the professors. Like it was a brand new thing that everybody was learning. So how do you I can't imagine being a teacher at that point, being like, oh good, I need to learn this whole brand new thing that I've never seen before and then try to teach it to my kids.
At least ZBrush has stuck around. A lot of programs like happened and were a flash in the pan.
Yep.
I was like, oh good, I'm glad I spent 6 months learning this thing.
Hooray!
Yeah. Hand hurts.
Yeah. We'll say give it maybe like 15-minute warning to get to a good stopping place. Also, let's just save while we're talking about that. Yeah, then we can call it for our 90s witches.
I got 15 minutes and I have to color all these daisies.
And then in 3 months, I will send my finished piece to Nicole to post on our social media.
I remember she had sent me a message, craziness that had been happening and we hadn't posted something in a little bit. She's like, I'm so sorry, I'm behind. I was like, one, honestly, I just want you to be reminded that were you not doing this, it wouldn't be happening because I can't get my shit together. But also, too, look, we gave our artists like 4 more weeks to work on their stuff to get it turned in. So I think everybody wins. Well, and I know at least for me, that I will put a lot of pressure on myself to get these pieces done because I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get them done so that we can, get them posted and everything. And I don't have to take a moment and be like, remember, you do this for fun. This is not actually a job. This is an elective that we choose to do. It's okay. And my brain's like, ha, 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 ha. No, it's not. It's not okay. Get your shit done. I'm like, okay.
Elective. I like that.
We are saying lovely things about you, Mayor Squish.
I should not have mentioned that song I heard at karaoke last night because now it's still in my head. Damn you, John Mellencamp.
What up, Hugh Steve? Speaking of, we were talking about you a little bit earlier. Our lovely Doodle Crew MC.
The filthiest.
The filthiest. That's why I went to him. I knew what I was doing. I went with the best. Hey, Wiffle Possum, welcome. Hi, y'all.
Oh yeah, it's like after work time now for people on the East Coast.
Yep. Definitely had that realization. I was like, oh yeah, look, like normal humans are getting home now. It's fine.
Shout out to Whipple Possum for playing games over the weekend.
Yeah.
At Pittsburgh Gaming Expo. Felt bad I got like a wave in and I was in the middle of a game and then every time I'd look over, Pathfinder was happening. I was like, well, we got a wave. There was an acknowledgement.
Yeah, I was having a big moment because I have been dealing with a lot of life stuff and like all these wonderful things are happening in the Discord and I'm just like, oh, that looks so lovely. Oh. So I'm very happy. I like when lovely things are happening to my lovely friends. So. All right, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this without any plan or reference because that's gonna be good. We got this. all fine.
On a wing and a prayer.
Mm-hmm. I've also had the realization recently where I need to work on some actual like light and shadow studies because I've not been practicing that for a while, and boy, am I rusty. I did one thing once where I was like, what are you doing? That's not how any of this works.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you color it like that? You absolute psychopath.
That's like my default now has been just the very basic backlit from behind. Everything's in shadow, and then you get like just the highlights around the face, just because I'm like, then I don't have to think about where I put shadow blocks, and good enough.
Yep.
What's the quote? I just learned it. Done is better than perfect because perfect is never done.
You're right.
That's a good one.
I hate it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Oh,
I hate it.
Yeah. That one hits me right in the heart. It's fine. Yep. Oh, goodness.
Get out of here with that.
So I will absolutely fess up. While I have been pretty good at getting my Doodle Crew stuff done on time, I have been failing miserably at getting my Sketching Shakespeare stuff done. Like, I think I posted 2 episodes. We're on episode 8 now. Has the artwork from any of those other episodes been posted? Nope, super hasn't. Still owed it. Still need to get it done. But I'm like, I'll get to it. It just has to be good. I need it to be good. And it's fine. It's all fine. Everything's fine. Wiffle Possum would like to know where you got the hat, Randall.
I bought a gray, basically Gandalf hat at Spirit years ago. It's like a felt hat. And then I took paint and I painted it up and made it look kind of leathery. It was for a Black Mage cosplay that I did for Halloween.
Are there pictures from that?
I don't want there to be.
I feel like I took so many pictures all the time.
Yeah.
Gotta exist.
Yeah, I have some. It's just like I got a cape and I needed it to be blue, to be the like little Black Mage has this blue cape. And so I took this like black cape. I don't know what it was made of. And I just shellacked the shit out of it with this like blue ink that would like work on it. And it looked so bad, and it felt like a pool tarp.
Oh no!
And yeah, by the end of it, I'm like, this is not what I wanted at all. So, and I wasted all that time painting it, waiting for it to dry. But the hat, it worked out fine. One win.
Oh, nope. Yeah, I keep having these moments where I'm just like, that'd be a cool costume to put together or something like that. And then I have that like, you don't have enough time to do the things you're currently doing. Let us not invest in a new hobby that needs time and energy that you don't have. I'm like, but I want it. Wouldn't it be fun?
If it means anything, don't get into crafting. Don't get into the sewing or cosplay. That's not costuming.
Yeah, I should have been working on my comic last night, but instead I was making a tiny demon to go with my friend's costume. That's okay. It's a little Kigarage from Dora Hedoro. Because I'm going to be Vegeta and my friend who usually has pink hair, does not currently have pink hair. She's going to go as Ebisu. I'm like, Ebisu needs a Kigarage though. So I'm making one because the all the merchandise for that anime is really expensive. And sewing is hard.
But also, because I know you, Sarah, I would expect nothing less. Let's be real.
Fact.
I was like, oh no, I'm feeling really good. Like, this is going along well. It's not as messy as I think. And then I zoom in, I'm like, ha ha ha. Nope, it's just as messy as I think. None of those lines connect. That's adorable.
It's a style.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's what I was going for. My very distinct style of so much mess. Why did you do that? Look at these artists who have these beautiful, clean lines and crisp things, and you could instantly animate this character. I'm like, oh. But that was fun.
Don't say that A word. It's triggering.
I know.
Animate. Oh.
Yeah, I will admit that there was an incredible moment of freedom when I really started getting into comics, and I didn't have to rein in some of my designs because I didn't ever have to animate them. Like, I was like, no, I can draw like more stripes or more straps or more this or that, more hair on this character, because while I have to draw it a few times, I have to draw it such a small fraction of times compared to what I would have to do were I to animate this.
Finishing up the shadows on a character, and his name is Squat. So I keep writing the word squat in my for all of my layers. It's a wonderful and awful name.
At one point, I had labeled some of my layers. All of them have been merged into other layers and are no longer labeled. It was so quickly abandoned.
Layer 24. Copy.
Excuse me, I don't appreciate being called out like that.
Or how you label your documents in general, like final one, super final, AF, GF, BA, CA, blah, blah, blah.
Yep, because the first round will be final, and then it'll have final with a C, which means it was compressed, but then it'll be like final C edit, and then final C edit 1. It's so upsetting.
Final for review.
Yeah.
I write that one a lot.
Which one?
Final for review, and then it's final for review 47.
Yep.
Thanks, coworkers.
I'm like, this is the final draft. They're like, are you sure? We don't think so.
No.
It would be if the original team who was working on the project was like, yes, this is what, like, we're the ones that know the content. We should be the ones making these decisions. And they're like, let's ask everyone else in the office.
No.
No.
That is the absolute worst. And I think this is the reason I've talked to my boss about this before. We'll be on calls, and they call in these people that have absolutely no reason to offer an opinion. they only offer an opinion to make it seem like they're involved. They don't actually care. They will just say something contradictory to make it seem like they're playing the game.
Yep. They want to, they have to have some kind of critique on it because
Yep.
they're a stakeholder in it.
They are validating their paycheck by pretending that they know more than you, and they are assuring quality control of the product. And my God, wouldn't this thing fall apart without them offering that one critique? Because we would be a laughing stock without them.
Oh yeah, I
Sorry.
had to change.
Maybe that's a little too much. I don't know.
I had to change everything, like on something I thought was mostly done, that I just had to replace the stock footage in.
Mhm.
And my goal with it was, don't make this look too corporate. We want it to seem casual. Her critique
That's
was,
a lie every time. It's a lie every single time.
this isn't business-like enough. Please change everything that you went in and found, like, people, it's a whole thing about personal needs. And they're like, there's not enough people doing work. And I was like,
Yes.
I had the practical needs shot ahead of that. And then these are all shots of the personal needs. And they're like, well, take out that image of that lady and her husband cooking dinner together. And I'm like, no, that made it feel like they were real people.
Oh no.
Just don't exist.
Not in corporate world.
We're just all in a simulation. There are no real people.
Mayor Squish says, save your work. And then Wiffle Possum also says, then we need to send it to the client in Canada for review. Yep. Like, but why?
I hear that.
They weren't part of the project for the entire thing, but at the end, they're going to have a bunch of opinions.
Yep. Trust me, you're not going to like any of it. Yeah, it took me a bit when it came to especially like logo stuff and that type of what I count as like copy and paste clip art type designing that I was doing a lot because I was doing in very quick turnaround stuff, that so much of what I needed to do for the first draft of clients who didn't know what they want was to send them a whole bunch of stuff for them to then tell me exactly what they didn't want, because they couldn't do that until they saw it. And like, it was a long learning process for Emily to be like, don't spend all your time on this first draft because you're not dealing with other artists. You're dealing with clients who don't know, and they're going to make you go back and change this like 5 more times. So just give them bare minimum to start so that we can then start refining and then give them your better work. Because, I'd be like 23 hours in on a project and we'd be finally starting to get close to something. I'm like, this is not okay. This is not, I can't do this anymore.
Oh my God, you start breaking down, just like, no, please. You like dread looking at the emails, just.
Uh-huh. And they're like, well, we're going to run this by our buddy. He's a designer too. And I'm like, I don't think he is. I think you're lying to me. Because something's going to come back designed in Microsoft Word. No. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine.
Well, I'm almost done, bud.
Which is funny that you say that, because there have been times that I just start doing things in PowerPoint or Word or something because I know they're going to want to edit it. And I'm like, nope, here, you do it. Here's the PowerPoint. Change whatever you want. If you want that sentence changed, go for it. Like,
That's big brain thinking right there.
Yes.
It's a little dirty, but it's definitely smart.
I was going to say, working smarter, not harder.
it's like, no, I know by now that, you have a vision of what you want certain words to be, and sometimes you don't always know what they're going to be right away until you see it, and then you want to like wordsmith it and change things. So it's like, no, I'll just give you control, do that, so that I don't have to keep opening up Photoshop and saving out a JPEG time we exchange an email.
Oh, clients.
Do I like that? I don't know if I like that. Oh. Oh, Wiffle Possum just coming for us right now, trying to trigger us. He said, by the way, that final, we need to reflow those pages because there are 400-page new products coming out before the end of the year, and we can't go over in page count, so make it fit. I'm hurt by your statement, Wiffle Possum. You have
Can you
wounded me.
ban? Can you...
You're going to be in timeout for personal attacks. Oh, gosh.
It's a Friday. Come on.
Also, this is the time when it would always happen. People are like, yeah, I know we're supposed to go to print on Monday, but I'm like, no but. No buts. You get no buts. It's good. It's fine.
No butts. No butts in here.
No buts.
Going to print as is. Or more like it's going to the build. It's done.
Yeah, it's done. Nope.
What do you mean you want to change the character's hair? We've gone 6 months with our character having this color hair.
So at one of the companies I used to work at, the QA, and I'm sure other companies have this too, I just don't want to assume, QA had a quota that they had to reach, and they had to give so many like bugs that they found or what have you. And towards the end of the game, things are, hard to find, hopefully, things for QA to critique and complain about. So they would start saying like, I don't like the character's hair. It's clashing in this specific environment that the player's in this one time. And it's like, it's customizable hair. You chose the hair color. Like, but we would get that where it's like, I don't like the character's shirt color. I don't like, and I get it. They had a quota to fulfill. But it was definitely, when you get those, turns you into a little bit of an ugly person because you just want to shout, like, stay in your lane, like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, you also want to stay cordial. So it's like, okay, I'll go in the environment and see if it's fine. And it's fine. Anyway, relatable.
It's fine. Like, I'm fine with this. Everything is fine.
It's past everyone else. Everyone else said it was fine. Please stop. I want to be done. Because we can't leave until the quota's, empty. Or until the QA pool's empty. But then if they have a quota to fulfill, they're keeping us there. Maybe this isn't relatable to everyone.
No, but it's funny because even if like the very specific part of it isn't the same, like that flow process and all of that, it is the same in so many industries. I'm like, we're not even doing the same type of work, but I run into the exact same things where it was like, okay, we've got the uniforms set, like they're all set, like I'm gonna start sewing the numbers, and they're like, well, like when we're under the stadium lights, do you think that maybe that the white thread around the red numbers isn't gonna look good? Like we should switch it to black. I'm like, well, you don't have black in your school colors, and we've already sewed all the front numbers on, which took 13 hours.
Oh, God.
So no, I don't think we should change the thread color.
Where were you 3 days ago?
Yeah, like, or you'd have the coach would have made the decision, the sales rep would make the decision, and then all of a sudden, like, the AD would come in. They'd be like, well, and I'm like, no, get out of here with that. Get out of here. Oh.
Don't you well me. It's well enough as it is.
Do you want them for the first game or not? These are your options now.
You give this to
Lord.
yourself.
I just love the whole like almost like mom vibe where it's like, don't you well me, don't you? Do you want this or not? Because this is what like it's just you have to almost turn into this. Oh gosh, again, the only way I can think to describe it is like this sort of like mom, like, do you not have what you wanted? Is it because you asked me last minute? Is it like that you're forcing them to acknowledge that it's their fault?
Yeah, and spoiler alert for anybody who's not worked in this type of industry, they don't like it when it's their fault. They get real spicy with you when it's their fault. And like, oh, look, the consequences of your actions. Ah. Yeah. Yup. Oh, it's good. It's good stuff.
I like that term, spicy. We get spicy with you. Because it's true.
It's true. And it was something my dad told me at one point when I was getting super stressed because I was trying to figure out how to, fit like 16 hours of production, which I needed to do, into 8-hour days of which I had a staff for. And, he was like, poor planning on the part of the customer does not constitute a rush on my part. And I was like, you can ask me to rush, but I was not behind on this. You were behind on this. You now have to be accommodating to my schedule because you didn't do the correct legwork, which again, also not things that customers like to hear. Like, what do you mean you can't get it done tomorrow? I'm like, because it's a 50-hour job and I don't have staff for that plus 6 other orders ahead of you. No.
Or the ability to rearrange time.
Yes. Which again, I feel that I'm very disappointed that I don't have that as a skill, but still nothing. Nope, still don't have that.
I've heard that quote before. A lack of planning on your part is no.
That does not constitute an emergency on my part.
See, I want to use that, but I keep forgetting it. Like I literally just forgot what that was, and I've heard that used before, and every single time I'm like, oh my god, I need to remember that because I can use it, and then I don't remember it. So it's such a good line.
I ended up putting it in like the sticky notes app on your computer. Like I put it in one of those and had it like always present on my desktop as just like a little mantra in my head because I'm like, this is not your fault. This is not your fault. You cannot control this.
It's worth having because yeah, that is a really good quote.
Oh, it's because that layers. All right. Yep. I understand how layers work. Neat. Good.
Teach us.
Like, why isn't it getting more saturated in color? It's like, oh, because you turned down the opacity. It can't. Yeah. Oh, Dell, I like that. She says, I've said for years, don't treat me like I can read your mind. If I could, I would have a much better paying job. Yep. I'm intuitive, but I cannot actually read your mind. You have to use your words to communicate with me.
Somebody's popular.
My group chat, one of the things I wanted to do before this was turn off the notification sound, and I did not do that.
Spoilers, I did not.
Yeah. But they're getting together because a friend is back in town after moving away.
Oh.
Which is good, but I'm going to stay home and catch up on all of my things.
It was one of the memes that went around where like, who would have thought that when people told you as a kid, like staying home and working on stuff was always a punishment. But now you're like, oh, look, things are happening out there, but I'm going to stay home and work on my projects because it's what I want to do. Oops.
Yep. Just like I will probably take a break to eat dinner and then I'm going to come right back and work on this. So that it's not sitting in my queue for the next several months.
People can definitely hate social media for a lot of things, but I've always really liked that it's brought very common occurrences together. So like I thought I was weird for always, this whole homebody staying home, and then other people on the internet are like, no, I absolutely do that too, and it just, I don't know. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not weird.
Yep. Nope. They and it's funny because they always come across my page as like reposts or retweets from Tumblr, and I was like, man, Tumblr, you got me so much more than I ever gave you credit for. You were my people. You were my people until you took the porn away.
Agreed.
Hashtag Doodle Crew.
And then Instagram did it, and they're like, no, we were just kidding. We're going back to Tumblr now.
Just don't know where I belong anymore. Oh, Tumblr.
I still love Tumblr. It's a trash fire, but it knows it's a trash fire.
Yes.
Change this color? No? Okay. Well, let's... You know what? We're going to do this.
I will fully acknowledge that my thing for the drinking game will be that sound. What am I doing wrong? I don't think I'm doing anything wrong, but my computer has other ideas.
I don't like green. What are we doing? I like purple. Purple's not bad. Oh, color theory. Mayor Squish says, "Your poor liver." Yeah, can't do any more damage than I've done already. So, that's not how that works for livers. Oh, look at that glow effect happening on Willow. That's so dope. Oh, looks so good.
Yeah, originally I was trying to have her spin her little pencil. And then I forgot how to make it look like something spinning with like the blurge it after image. And I had so much trouble with the daisies. I'm like, it's like today was a really weird day for really weird issues that I don't remember how to draw specific things. So I'm cheating.
Nope, I fully support it. All right. So, as we do our final wrap up, so that anybody would like to go first and show and tell?
Not me.
I just hit Control S, and I think I'm done for now. And then I'll look at it later and be like, I do want to do some kind of like lightning effect behind it because that's very Power Rangers. But did not have time for that.
Yeah, I think I'm at that point where I need to take a step back and not be looking at it for a bit so that I can come back and actually see like, all right, what am I missing? Because I think I'm missing things. But yeah, Sarah, if you want to share once you're done saving.
Got some Rita and Finster and Squat going on.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Dang, look at the detail on her top. Oh my goodness. And that dress. Excuse me. So much coffee.
Could you go in a little bit on her face? There looks like there's so much work there.
It's not too much. It's just gave her some of that eyeshadow. I redrew her face like 3 times because she wasn't angry enough. I just kept,
more.
That's her.
Until I could hear the image, and then I'm like, okay, I did it right. She is.
So like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. I'm writing it down because I'll forget and then I'll be sad. It's like until I could hear the image. Oh, Kristen, you made that comment on one of the things that popped up in the Discord. Like literally, if like I could hear this image.
Oh yeah, I could hear the laughing of that GIF. Absolutely.
Oh, the Mandark one.
Yeah.
Also, y'all, I know I've mentioned it a couple of times. If anybody in chat is not already in our Discord and you would like to hang out with some of the Doodle Crew people, send me a message and I will happily get you in there if you want to do all that, because it's fun. We've got fun people doing cool stuff. Also, Mayor Squish says that looks dope, and Wiffle Possum says hells yeah.
Yay.
That's not how Wiffle Possum sounds, but that's how I chose to. Hells yeah. All right.
I could hear him saying that.
And Sarah, where can people find you if they want to see more of your stuff?
Tumblr and my website. Yeah.
Yeah.
That spot. And that spot. I should update my website. It's been like 6 months.
Yo, I started looking into that the other day because I was like, I really should do this and have like a nice portfolio thing, and then immediately got overwhelmed and abandoned it really quickly. And I was like, nope, can't. Mm-mm. So
I need to put this in there. You can't see it because it's clear, but I got a Serious Play award.
Hell yeah!
What is it? What kind of award?
Serious Play. I made a tabletop game that's like educational, and they were like, "Yeah, this is good." So I got a big award.
Wow! Congratulations! That's so
that's
cool.
incredible.
And what a cool thing to like have.
Yeah.
You can bludgeon someone to death with it.
Which is what I want out of an award. Let's be real. Like, if I can't cause bodily harm to an attacker, what good is it to me?
So we're working on our second tabletop game. I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but when it's really happening, I'll have more news, and I'm gonna need playtesters. So
awesome! That's super exciting.
That is really cool.
Simkin, who I'm going to get it wrong, I don't know exactly, but he is a professor of video game something. He can tell me the correct title, or Del can, says that's super cool. So, yeah. Hills, yeah. All right. Let me bring up our lovely Willow Witch. Let me bring beep. She looks so cute. Oh my gosh, I love her so much.
So I had to give her some sort of like grimoire, because obviously she is the study witch too. And then, as I mentioned, I wanted to do a moving pencil because she does do that in like one episode, but I actually sort of really like the little magic spark and the sort of lighting that I was able to kind of make with it.
The lighting looks so good, and it just works perfect, and like the colors work so well together. I mean, I once again, as usual, I hate you because it looks so good, but I also love it because it looks so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I thought if I were to have time, I was going to do like Dark Willow, like as sort of a shadow behind her. But I actually kind of like it without Dark Willow because I just kind of like her flowery sort of. Too.
Yeah, honestly,
especially
like
early season, like Goody Two Shoes vibe.
Yeah, but it feels that very sweet and innocent that she was at the start. Like, no, I like it a lot. Yeah, I don't think it needs the Dark Willow. I think it's awesome as is. Yay! And where can people find you?
I guess Instagram is good. I am not necessarily as active as I should be. I am working on a ton of side projects that I unfortunately can't talk about just yet for NDAs, but they are keeping me very busy. So hopefully I'll be able to get time to jump onto social media, but I do check it every day, like for messages and stuff. So yes, you can reach out to me.
Yay! Yeah, that's awesome. No, I feel you. It's work is really, really good, and it's good to have that, but it's tough sometimes when you feel like you should be promoting more of your own stuff and you don't have time. And yeah, again, that hustle life. So much hustle all the time. No sleep till Brooklyn. That's what we do. All right, Randall, did I stall long enough for you?
Sure. I mean, it's at a point that I can at least show and talk about it.
Yeah, those collarbones.
Yeah, so here we go.
Oh, they look so good. Ooh.
Yeah. That lipstick though, like as soon as, because they always had just like so good. Such a
yeah. And it's one of those things, it's like, it's, kind of stark right now, but once I start fleshing them out and actually giving more color to the base tones of the face, then I think it'll be less flat and cartoony.
Yeah, but it really it's a really good base. So I feel like as you build it up, it's only going to get better and better. Because it also, I know we talked about this this at some point recently, and I can't remember more because my brain is garbage, but simplifying something down like that and still have it be recognizable as these very recognizable characters is not easy. And I think you did it. Like, they are instantly recognizable as the people that they are. And that's awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Even
I
as
think
not
the
a charmed
eyebrows help
person.
a lot.
What was that?
Yeah.
I think the eyebrows help a lot. And I don't mean that in the like pencil 90s eyebrow. I mean, like, for some reason, if you get the eyebrow placement on a person, even if the eyes are a little off, it looks like them. And this definitely looks like them.
Yay. Perfect.
Yay! All right. And where can people find you, Randall?
Well, they can find me over on Tumblr. I sometimes post my art there. I'll probably try to be better about that because that's where all of it is. And then there's Instagram, which does have art, but it's mostly just me being a vain piece of shit posting selfies and thirst traps and stuff all the time. So that's how I rope in my followers.
I think we need a thirst trap with the hat is really what I think we're needing now.
Oh my god.
Oh, I love it. No, I'm very excited. Again, I'm very excited to see this piece and how it turns out. So, but I promise not to harangue you about it for at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's my gift to you.
For the Halloween season, that's my gift.
Yes. All right. Let me do final thing. So here we go. There's my. That's not there. There it is. Yeah. So I've got my neon windbreaker witch, who I kind of love.
Yeah.
She's super fun. I really like. I just dig her attitude. And then I've got my. This one became a lot more Sabrina the Teenage Witch vibes than I had originally planned. But I've had this thing in my head where like she keeps very much like Rainbow Bright, where she's got the little powder, or I think Twink has the powder in his little satchel that he'll bring out and bring like special star power stuff. So, and she's got her jellies.
She reminds me a lot of Lizzie McGuire, actually, with the hair.
Oh, yes. That's a good call. Yep. Yeah, but I went in for those chunky highlights, which were a specific vibe.
Yep.
They're coming back, too.
I know. I hate it so much. I hate it. But you know what?
Guilty.
You do you. It's your hair. You do you. It's a choice. Yeah, I could never wrap my brain around it, but it's there. So yeah, I think, and it's funny, I don't know, I think I want to possibly rework the background. I feel like maybe even splitting them up so it's 2 separate pieces, because I want to go a little bit more crazy with the neon girl, just because I feel like this background's too tame for her. But again, it is mostly done, which is the thing. So if you want to see more of my art, you can go over to A Swan Named Emily anywhere on the internet and harangue me about not posting much, because I've been really bad about it recently. But I'm trying. I brought Doodle Crew back. Yay! Yeah, I'm going to try and get better. This summer was nuts for me. That's why we were on hiatus. Many of us had craziness happening. So hopefully now that things are slowing down, being a little less crazy, I will post more art. But if you want to see art that is amazing, follow Doodle Crew Draw across the internet. There's awesome stuff. There are incredibly talented artists who say yes to coming on stream with us repeatedly, which is awesome. And Major says, but scolding you is my job. It's true. You're very good at it, and I need it. Yeah, so it's awesome. We love having you. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out with us and enjoying all of the 90s nostalgia and witches and everything. Yes, if you want to get more information, you can pop over to our link tree. We've got all our Doodle Crew links there. You can head over to my YouTube, where I post all of the full episodes of Doodle Crew, so you can watch them if you missed one. You want to come back and do that, or watch old episodes. That also has the entire interview series. So if you want to see one-on-ones with all of the artists who are on screen right now, and Joey, who was here earlier, I interviewed all of them. They agreed to talk to me more. So if you want to hear specifics about that, you can do that. And then if not, we'll be back next Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. for our next Doodle Crew. So thank you all. We love you. And we'll see you later. Goodbye.